Chapter 2798. With a flash of starlight, a crack appeared on the abdomen of the black snake rapidly. The black snake's abdomen was split open and a figure passed through it, thrusting a longsword at Taoist Mingmi. Junior brother Mo is so powerful. Seeing Mo Qingyun pierce through the demon snake's abdomen, Ding Yu's eyes widened in shock. Under Ding Yu's shocked gaze, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and appeared in front of Taoist Mingmi. Oh no! Mo Qingyun's powerful approach scared Taoist Mingmi so much that his face trembled and his body trembled. The strength that Mo Qingyun displayed was beyond his control. I can only take it head-on. Looking at Mo Qingyun, who was right in front of him, Taoist Mingmi's face tensed up and he unconsciously clenched his teeth. Immediately, Taoist Mingmi raised his hand and took out a black dagger. The dagger glowed with a dark light and was surrounded by black gas, like a cold venomous snake. With the dagger in hand, Taoist Mingmi did not hesitate and immediately slashed at Mo Qingyun. Clang! The dagger and sword collided, producing a piercing sound and producing a terrifying force. When this force erupted, it enveloped Mo Qingyun and Ding Yu and attacked them. However, Mo Qingyun and the other man chose to turn a blind eye to the impact of this force. Die! After blocking Taoist Mingmi's dagger, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold and he poured a surge of saint energy into the divine sword of 9 bulls. As the saint energy poured in, the divine sword of 9 bulls immediately emitted a cold light and a sharp sword ray burst out. Oh no! Seeing the sword ray coming at him, Taoist Mingmi's face twitched and his eyes widened. Unfortunately, before he could dodge, the sword ray had already swept past him. Boom! Under the attack of the sword ray, Taoist Mingmi was sent flying and a hideous wound appeared on his chest. After being hit by the overbearing sword ray, the aura that Taoist Mingmi emitted immediately weakened. You! Cough cough! Taoist Mingmi steadied himself. With a gloomy face, he stared at Mo Qingyun with a wary look. If he hadn't experienced it himself, he wouldn't have believed that he could be injured by a space realm cultivator. Junior brother Mo severely injured Taoist Tanmi. Seeing this scene, Ding Yu was so shocked that his jaw dropped. He couldn't believe that this was real. While Ding Yu was still in shock, he suddenly recalled Mo Qingyun's words. Soon after, Ding Yu was stunned on the spot as he muttered to himself, could it be that junior brother Mo was not lying earlier? He really wants to kill Taoist Xiaomi? The more Ding Yu thought about it, the more frightened and shocked he became. To him, this kind of thing was beyond common sense. Ding Yu couldn't help but gasp. If Mo Qingyun could really do it, then he would be too terrifying. After severely injuring Taoist Mingmi with a single sword strike, Mo Qingyun's attack did not slow down. With a flash of his figure, he gave chase. Ignore defense. Eternity. Space imprisonment. Arriving in front of Taoist Mingmi, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate at all as he slashed at him with his sword. A vicissitude concept was emitted from Mo Qingyun's body and was added to the sword light. Soon after, the aura emitted by the sword light became much sharper. This kid's comprehension of the concept of time has actually reached such a level. It's too strange. Sensing the concept on Mo Qingyun's body, Taoist Mingmi's old face trembled. His eyes widened as he said in shock, with my strength alone, I'm afraid I can't match him. I have to leave this place as soon as possible. With this thought, Taoist Mingmi lost his will to continue fighting. He only wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Evil thoughts, spectral space escape. Time acceleration. With a thought, Taoist Mingmi broke free from the concept of time and fled 10,000 meters away. Soon after, Mo Qingyun slashed at him with his sword and he narrowly avoided it. Seeing Taoist Mingmi's escape, Mo Qingyun narrowed his eyes and hesitated. To pursue or not to pursue? If he pursued, he would have to expose the gate of time. He might even have to summon the Dark Star. In that case, he would have to expose a trump card and lose someone he could rely on. He's just a clown. I'll spare him for now. After pondering for a while, Emo Qingyun finally gave up on pursuing Daoist Mingmi. In his opinion, there were many opportunities to deal with Daoist Mingmi. There was no need to rush. Exposing his trump card in order to deal with him was not worth it. After deciding not to pursue Daoist Mingmi, Emo Qingyun turned around and flew toward Dingyu, preparing to leave this place with him. Daoist Mingmi has been repelled. Although Daoist Mingmi was not killed, Dingyu was still shocked when he saw him being repelled. To him, Emo Qingyun's battle record was extremely terrifying. "Senior brother Ding, let's go." Emo Qingyun came to Dingyu's side and nodded at him. After hearing Emo Qingyun's instructions, Dingyu nodded and led the way. After the battle just now, Dingyu's attitude toward Emo Qingyun had obviously become more respectful. In his eyes, Emo Qingyun was no different from an ordinary long dragon. Seeing Dingyu's expression, Emo Qingyun guessed what he was thinking, but he didn't say anything. About 2 hours later, under Dingyu's lead, the two of them stopped in front of a manor. If he was not mistaken, this was the place where the Star Domain Tea Party would be held. Seeing Dingyu's arrival, someone immediately came forward to welcome him. "Brother Dingyu, you're late this time. You'll have to drink 3 times the amount as punishment later." A few people who were familiar with Dingyu quickly walked in front of him and joked with him. Dingyu nodded humbly at everyone's jokes. After everyone exchanged pleasantries with Dingyu, one of them looked curiously at Emo Qingyun and asked, "Brother Dingyu, this young man is?" "This is my junior brother. He was passing by on the way, so I brought him here to join in the fun." Upon hearing the former's question, Dingyu gave a simple answer and introduced Emo Qingyun's identity. After learning about Emo Qingyun's identity from Dingyu, everyone exchanged a few pleasantries. Then, everyone's attention returned to Dingyu. In their opinion, with Emo Qingyun's mid-stage universe realm cultivation, he should have followed them to broaden his horizons. Emo Qingyun did not care about everyone's attitude and followed behind them casually. After a while, Emo Qingyun came to a courtyard under everyone's lead. At this moment, the courtyard was filled with guests who were gathered in groups of 3 and 5. "Dingyu, you're in such a sorry state. Could it be that you're being chased here to avoid disaster?" As soon as Dingyu entered the courtyard, a young man holding a jade cup in his hand mocked Dingyu and said, "If you bring trouble to everyone because of this, have you thought about the consequences?" Hearing this person's words, everyone in the courtyard focused their attention on Dingyu. Some of them even had some hostility in their eyes. It was obvious that they believed what Dingyu said. Chapter 2799. "Sun Huai, just mind your own business. You don't have to worry about my business." Dingyu reprimanded Sun Huai coldly with a displeased expression as he looked at the young man nearby. Following that, Dingyu turned around and pointed at a few empty chairs as he said, "Junior brother Emo, let's sit over there first. I'll slowly introduce everyone to you." "Alright." Emo Qingyun nodded his head. Soon after, the two of them found a seat in a corner and sat down. Sun Huai's expression darkened when he saw Emo Qingyun and Dingyu sitting down. However, he did not continue to be overbearing. His words earlier were just to slander Dingyu so he could lower Dingyu's morale a little. Now that Dingyu had chosen to remain silent, Sun Huai had achieved his goal. If he continued to push his luck, Dingyu might fight like a cornered beast and perish together with him. Sun Huai's strength was not much stronger than Dingyu, so he would not be able to gain the upper hand if they fought. "Although I can't do anything to you, I can teach that brat beside you a lesson." Sun Huai's eyes were cold as he looked at Emo Qingyun who was next to him. Dingyu smiled meaningfully when he sensed Sun Huai's gaze. He looked like he was waiting to watch a good show. It would be a huge mistake if Sun Huai looked for trouble with Emo Qingyun. "Senior brother Ding, is Sun Huai from the Dao Ruins Saint sect?" Mo Qingyun guessed Sin Huai's identity when he saw Sin Huai's appearance was similar to Sin Jie's. A hint of surprise flashed through Ding Yu's eyes before he nodded his head and said, "That's right. Sin Jie isn't just a disciple of the Dao Ruins Saint sect. He has a brother called Sin Jie, who's also the young sect master of the Dao Ruins Saint sect." As expected, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold when he heard Ding Yu's confirmation. He said, "Since I can't find Sin Jie, I'll teach you a lesson first. Take it as interest for Sin Jie's actions." Ding Yu did not stop talking after he revealed Sin Huai's identity. He continued to introduce the others to Mo Qingyun. It didn't take long for Ding Yu to introduce everyone in the courtyard. After Ding Yu's introduction, Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of these people's identities. Most of these people were from 3-star forces, and some of them were from quasi-4-star forces. The 3 people from a quasi-4-star force were the organizers of this Starfield Tea Party. Under Mo Qingyun's gaze, the 3 people from the Starfield Tea Party walked to the center of the courtyard. Junior apprentice brother Mo, the Miss Helian Linsu I mentioned just now, is the woman in the center. The one standing on Miss Helian's right is the Black Sky young master I mentioned, Zhuo Gongxing. The one standing on Miss Helian's left is the Devil Gates #1 genius, Duan Yeyun. Looking at the 3 people in the middle of the crowd, Ding Yu introduced them to Mo Qingyun with a serious expression. After listening to Ding Yu's introduction, Mo Qingyun sized them up and sensed their cultivation bases. These 3 are actually all at the Eternal Realm. After sensing their cultivation bases, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and a trace of surprise flashed through his eyes. Immediately, Mo Qingyun raised his guard against these 3 people. With his current strength, he could easily deal with an Eternal Realm powerhouse if he encountered one. Even if he faced 2 Eternal Realm powerhouses, he could still barely contend with 1 or 2 of them. However, it would be very difficult to fight against 3 of them. Thank you all for giving me the honor of attending this tea party. Helian Linsu swept a glance over the crowd and revealed a gentle smile. She bowed politely to everyone and said, "Since everyone is here, let the tea party begin." At Helian Linsu's command, all sorts of exquisite tea and pastries were served. Junior apprentice brother Mo, these teas are extremely rare. Come and try this. Seeing all kinds of tea being served, Ding Yu called out to Mo Qingyun and poured a cup for Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't stand on ceremony and casually took the tea from Ding Yu. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun took the teacup and was about to taste it, a person walked up to him and shouted with a dark expression, "Kid, this cup of Black Sky Iron Buddha tea isn't something you are qualified to drink. Immediately put the tea on the table and get out of here obediently." Ding Yu's face darkened when he heard this, and he looked at Sun Huai. In his opinion, this person must have been incited by Sun Huai to find trouble with Mo Qingyun. After shooting a cold glance at Sun Huai, Ding Yu glared at the person in front of him and shouted, "Zhou Bai, I advise you not to cause trouble. This won't do you any good." Zhou Bai wasn't afraid of Ding Yu's warning at all. He sneered and said, "Ding Yu, it's fine if you use the Star Domain Tea Party to avoid being hunted down. However, you even brought someone here to eat and drink. This is a little unreasonable." Ding Yu was furious when he saw Zhou Bai's actions. However, when Ding Yu was about to attack, Mo Qingyun stopped him. When Mo Qingyun stopped him, Ding Yu took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. After Mo Qingyun stopped Ding Yu, he looked at Zhou Bai and smiled faintly. "Tell me, what do I have to do to be qualified to drink the tea?" Zhou Bai was stunned when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He didn't expect Mo Qingyun to say this. Zhou Bai was slightly stunned. He raised his head arrogantly and said, "Don't say that I'm deliberately making things difficult for you. I'm the weakest among the participants of the tea party. If you can defeat me, it means that you're qualified to participate." "Defeat you?" Hearing Zhou Bai's words, Mo Qingyun knew what he was thinking. After beating around the bush for so long, Zhou Bai just wanted to fight with him and use the opportunity to teach him a lesson. What? You don't dare? Zhou Bai smiled coldly when he saw Emo Qingyun's reaction. If you don't dare, then leave the courtyard obediently and wait patiently outside. No. It's not that I don't dare. It's just that it's too easy. Emo Qingyun shook his head and corrected Zhou Bai's words. I won't bully you. You make the first move. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he ignored Zhou Bo and picked up his teacup leisurely. Zhou Bai's face darkened when he saw Emo Qingyun's actions. He felt a great sense of humiliation. At this moment, he couldn't help but feel that he was a clown in front of Emo Qingyun. You're courting death, kid! In his rage, Zhou Bai shouted angrily and sent a palm strike towards Emo Qingyun. Zhou Bai's attack exploded with a terrifying aura and a huge palm shadow blasted out. At the same time, a mysterious space law enveloped Emo Qingyun. Everyone's expression tensed up when they saw Zhou Bai's attack. They all stared at Emo Qingyun. They wanted to know how Emo Qingyun would deal with Zhou Bai's attack. Chapter 2800. Scram. Emo Qingyun did not move an inch in the face of Zhou Bai's attack. He raised his right hand casually. Placing two fingers together, he used his fingers as a sword and waved them forward. As Emo Qingyun swung his fingers, his saint energy turned into a sword radiance and shot toward the palm. Puff! Under the attack of the sword radiance, the palm dissipated and turned back into a ball of saint energy. The sword radiance did not lose any of its power and shot toward Zhou Bai, who was behind the palm. What a powerful finger! Zhou Bai trembled when he sensed the sword radiance's aura. His face was filled with shock. Immediately after, fear rose in his heart as he dodged the bombardment of the sword beams. However, as Zhou Bai retreated, two powerful nomological powers enveloped his body. Spatial imprisonment, spatial compression. Zhou Bai was even more shocked when he sensed the law energies that enveloped him. At this moment, the distance between him and the sword gleam was rapidly shortened. Then, the sword slammed into Zhou Bai's body, exploding with a terrifying force. Boom! A loud explosion was heard, and the crowd saw Zhou Bai being sent flying by the explosion. Zhou Bai fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale and his eyes were wide open. How could he defeat me with just one move when he's only at the intermediate stage of the universe realm? Looking at Emo Qingyun in front of him, Zhou Bo's face was filled with disbelief. He could not believe that this was real. The crowd was also shocked when they saw Zhou Bai being sent flying with just one move. One move? Zhou Bai was sent flying with just one move? I can't believe this kid is so powerful. Even if Zhou Bai underestimated his opponent, this kid's strength is not to be underestimated. If I'm not mistaken, his true combat strength should be comparable to the peak of the universe realm. This kid is not simple. I'm afraid he's even more powerful than Dingyu. The crowd looked at Emo Qingyun in a different light. At this moment, Emo Qingyun was on the same level as them. Emo Qingyun ignored the crowd's reaction. He took another sip of tea and smiled. Let me ask you now. Am I qualified to taste this tea? Emo Qingyun slowly put down his teacup and looked at Zhou Bai coldly. Looking at Emo Qingyun's posture, if Zhou Bai dared to say no, he would attack Zhou Bai again. Yes, yes. Under the pressure of Emo Qingyun's aura, Zhou Bo's face alternated between green and white as he stuttered his reply. As soon as Zhou Bo finished speaking, he touched his forehead and wiped off the sweat on it. Even with Zhou Bai's strength, he was defeated in one move. Seeing that Zhou Bai had been defeated, Sun Huai's face was as black as ink, and he was extremely displeased. He had to admit that he had miscalculated. Zhou Bai had failed. Not only did Zhou Bai fail to teach Zhou Bai, but he had also given Emo the opportunity to establish his authority. He was very dissatisfied with this outcome. The more Sun Huai thought about it, the angrier he got. His gaze was gloomy and icy cold as he glanced coldly at Emo Qingyun and said, Zhou Bai was only sparring with you, yet you heavily injured him. Aren't you going a little too far? Hearing Sen Huai's question, Ding Yu was immediately displeased. He shouted angrily, Sen Huai, you're trying to accuse him. Junior apprentice brother Mo only used one move to defeat Zhou Bai. How did that become intentional? If you really want to blame someone, you can only blame Zhou Bai for being too weak. Emo Qingyun remained silent. He only pursed his lips and looked at Sen Huai with disdain. Sen Huai snorted coldly and said, No matter what the reason is, it is wrong to injure someone. He must give everyone a reasonable explanation for injuring Zhou Bai. Sen Huai is right. That kid was too heavy-handed. That's right. They were sparring. There is no need to be so heavy-handed. He is so arrogant when he just arrived. We cannot tolerate him. The surrounding people began to whisper when they heard Sen Huai's words. Some people expressed their dissatisfaction. Ding Yu was a little anxious when he saw everyone's reaction. He wanted to defend Emo Qingyun. However, before Ding Yu could explain, Emo Qingyun chuckled softly. He looked at Sen Huai and said, I'm sorry. I never show mercy when I attack. He was lucky just now. If he tries again, I might just kill him. Sen Huai was speechless when he saw Emo Qingyun's arrogant attitude. He did not know how to respond. He had never imagined that Emo Qingyun would be so domineering when questioned by him. Emo Qingyun grinned at Sen Huai when he saw that he was speechless. Of course, if you doubt my words, you can try it yourself. See if I dare to kill you. Sen Huai was once again speechless under Emo Qingyun's provocation. He did not know how to respond. The combat strength that Emo Qingyun displayed earlier already made him feel a little apprehensive, making him not have the confidence to win. If he fought rashly, he would be defeated at Emo Qingyun's hands. He would really have no face left. As for being killed by Emo Qingyun, he did not need to worry. He believed that with Helian Lin Su 3 people present, Emo Qingyun absolutely could not kill him. Humph! After struggling for a while, Sen Huai chose to be silent. He decided to observe Emo Qingyun for a while more. There was no rush to make a move right away. Seeing Sen Huai's performance, Ding Yu revealed a smug look and said with a big laugh at Sen Huai, Sen Huai, why aren't you talking anymore? Could it be that you're scared? Humph! Hearing Ding Yu's question, Sen Huai snorted coldly once more and did not give him a response. Sen Huai's retreat made everyone very surprised. At the same time, it also made them think highly of Emo Qingyun. Although Sen Huai wasn't one of the best among them, the fact that Emo Qingyun could make him suffer showed that he wasn't ordinary. After saying a few words to Sen Huai, Ding Yu did not say anything more. He turned to look at Emo Qingyun and said, Junior brother Emo, you're still the best. You stunned Sen Huai with just a few words. He's just a clown. Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and did not explain too much. During the conversation with Ding Yu, Emo Qingyun's eyes turned, and a plan formed in his mind. Then, he looked at Sen Huai with a meaningful gaze. Following Sen Huai's decision to retreat, his conflict with Emo Qingyun was temporarily put aside. Then, everyone's attention shifted from Emo Qingyun. Next, some people who were on good terms with each other or had grudges against each other began to spar and compare notes. During this process, no one challenged Emo Qingyun. Perhaps they were worried about Emo Qingyun's words. During this time, Ding Yu fought a few times, winning and losing. After an unknown period of time, a young man in a red shirt holding a sword walked in front of Emo Qingyun and said, Junior brother, I'm Zhepin of the Star Ghost Sword Sect. I would like to exchange a few moves with you. I hope you can come out and teach me a thing or two. Sure. Emo Qingyun did not reject the other party's challenge and agreed readily. Chapter 28:01. Seeing that someone was challenging Emo Qingyun, everyone's attention was drawn over again. Everyone revealed looks of anticipation. They wanted to see if Emo Qingyun would really make a move to kill during the fight. Seeing that Emo Qingyun was going to fight Zhepin, Ding Yu was worried and immediately reminded him, "Junior brother Emo, Zhepin is very strong. He is one of the top experts in the universe realm. Senior brother Ding, don't worry. I am just going to spar with him." Hearing Ding Yu's reminder, Emo Qingyun smiled calmly without the slightest hint of nervousness. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he walked over to Zhepin without stopping. Soon, Emo Qingyun and Zhepin were facing off. He was not in a hurry to attack Zhepin. Looking at Emo Qingyun and Zhepin facing off, Sun Hui sneered and said, "Let Zhepin test him first. Once I know how strong he is, I will take care of him." With that thought, Sun Hui hid at the side like a poisonous snake and observed Emo Qingyun. Sensing Sun Hui's gaze, Emo Qingyun glanced at him and smiled at Zhepin. "You are not going to just stand there when you challenge me, right? Please advise me." Hearing Emo Qingyun's urging, Zhepin stopped watching and took the initiative to attack Emo Qingyun. Tossing the long sword in his hand, Zhepin grabbed it with his right hand and pulled it out of the scabbard. Phantom sky-splitting sword. Zhepin did not hold back at all. His long sword shone brightly and sword radiance flew everywhere. Soon, hundreds of dazzling sword radiance flew towards Emo Qingyun. Facing the incoming sword radiance, Emo Qingyun's expression did not change. He calmly took out the Nine-Bull Divine sword to block it. Under Emo Qingyun's dance, the Nine-Bull Divine sword shone brightly and gave birth to sword shadows. In addition, sword radiance with imposing aura formed around Emo Qingyun's body. Puff 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 puff. As the sword radiance neared Emo Qingyun, it was blocked by the sword aura and scattered in midair. At the same time, Emo Qingyun brandished the Nine-Bull Divine sword and blasted out a sword light towards hibernating Pin. Alright. Facing Emo Qingyun's counterattack, Zhepin wasn't afraid at all. He shouted excitedly. Immediately, the battle intent that Zhepin emitted immediately rose a little. Following the rise of his battle intent, the battle prowess that Zhepin displayed also followed and rose a bit. Under Emo Qingyun's attack, Zhepin actually exceeded his standard. Seeing Zhepin's performance, Helian Linsu's face was filled with shock. Her beautiful eyes glowed as she said, "It seems like that young man called Emo Qingyun will be defeated by Zhepin." Hearing Helian Linsu's words, Zhuo Gongxing and Zhuo Gongxing nodded in agreement. However, what surprised the three of them was that Emo Qingyun didn't fall into a disadvantageous position under Zhepin's attack. Emo Qingyun's performance caused Helian Linsu's beautiful eyes to tremble slightly. She said in surprise, Facing Zhepin's attack, he can actually face it head-on. It seems like he still held back some of his strength in the previous exchange. We have underestimated him." After Helian Linsu finished speaking, her attention towards Emo Qingyun increased. With his mid-stage universe realm cultivation, he can be considered a rare genius to possess such strength. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, not only did Helian Linsu think highly of him, but so did Zhuo Gongxing. After evaluating Emo Qingyun, Zhuo Gongxing looked at Duan Yeyun and smiled faintly. "Brother Duan, what do you think of his talent compared to yours?" Duan Yeyun was the most talented genius among all the demonic sects in the ancient Brahmin star field. The fact that Zhuo Gongxing had compared Emo Qingyun to him showed how high his evaluation of Emo Qingyun was. When he heard Zhuo Gongxing's question, Duan Yeyun's expression immediately turned cold. He sneered and said, "Although Zhepin's performance exceeded his standard, his battle strength is only at the peak of the universe realm. There is nothing strange about this brat being able to contend with him. As for his cultivation talent, it is comparable to most of the people here." Duan Yeyun's belittling surprised Helian Linsu and Helian Linsu. They couldn't help exchanging glances. Soon, the two of them understood each other's thoughts from their eyes. If they were not mistaken, Duan Yeun was belittling Emo Qingyun because he was worried that his position as the number one genius would change. Back when Duan Yeun's cultivation was at the mid-stage universe realm, he didn't have Emo Qingyun's battle strength. After understanding Duan Yeun's thoughts, Helian Linsu and Helian Linsu didn't expose him. Everyone had a tacit understanding. While Helian Linsu and the other two were talking, the battle between Emo Qingyun and Zhe Pin got closer and closer. The area between the two of them had become a zone of sword light that was filled with a torrential downpour of sword light. When they saw this scene, everyone's expression slowly tensed up. Based on the performance of Emo Qingyun and Zhe Pin, if they were allowed to continue fighting, both sides might end up suffering. I never imagined that this brat would actually fight Zhe Pin to this extent. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Xin Huai's eyes flashed with surprise. He revealed an understanding expression and said, "Although this kid's strength is much stronger than I imagined, he is only comparable to the hibernated grade. If I use some of my trump cards, it shouldn't be a problem to deal with him." As Xin Huai thought about this, his expression relaxed and a cold smile appeared on his face. While Xin Huai was sneering, he was also thinking to himself. He smirked and said, "If he and Zhe Pin fight and both of them are injured, that would be for the best." Just as Xin Huai's heart was filled with anticipation, Helian Linsu stood up and said, "Both of you, please stop. If you continue fighting, it won't be good for either of you. Let's just consider this a draw." As soon as Helian Linsu said this, she raised her jade-like arm and released a mysterious nomological law. Under the power of this nomological law, Emo Qingyun and Zhe Pin's attacks were clearly much slower. After slowing down Emo Qingyun and Zhe Pin's attacks, Helian Linsu didn't stop. She waved her hand at Emo Qingyun and Zhe Pin. Then, she easily neutralized the attacks of Emo Qingyun and Zhe Pin's. When they saw Helian Linsu's actions, everyone looked at her with even more reverence. She had neutralized Emo Qingyun and Zhe Pin's attacks with a casual wave of her hand. This method was too frightening. "Thank you for your guidance. Let's fight again next time." After Helian Linsu made her move, she stopped fighting with Emo Qingyun and Zhe Pin humbly cupped his hands. Emo Qingyun also nodded politely at Zhe Pin's actions. After replying to Zhe Pin, Emo Qingyun looked at Helian Linsu and frowned slightly. He thought to himself, "This woman's strength is much stronger than Taoist Meng Mi's. I'm afraid Zhuo Gongxing and Zhuo Gongxing's strength is not much weaker." After estimating the strength of the three people, Emo Qingyun's heart sank. He was even more afraid of the three of them. Chapter 2802. After sizing up Helian Linsu, Emo Qingyun retracted his gaze and returned to Ding Yu's side. Although Helian Linsu and the other two were very strong, he was not afraid. Firstly, he might not fight with the three of them. Secondly, the three of them might not join forces. "Junior brother Emo, your fight just now was too dangerous." Fortunately, Miss Helian intervened. Seeing Emo Qingyun come to his side, Ding Yu's face revealed a look of lingering fear as he spoke. In his opinion, if Helian Linsu had not intervened, Emo Qingyun and Helian Linsu might have been injured. Emo Qingyun understood the meaning of Ding Yu's words, but he did not explain. He knew the real situation very well. If he wanted to, he only needed one sword to defeat hibernating Pin. After Emo Qingyun and Helian Linsu's fight ended, two people immediately walked out and sparred in the center of the courtyard. The fight between the two was obviously not as intense as Emo Qingyun's fight. It was boring to watch. Not long after, the result of the sparring between the two ended in a draw. As time passed, the people who stepped out to spar became stronger and stronger. During this time, there were people who challenged Emo Qingyun, but they all ended in a draw. Everyone was very surprised by this situation. However, when they thought of Emo Qingyun's sparring, they felt relieved. Every time Emo Qingyun sparred with someone, the scene was very intense, as if they would not stop until one of them was dead. Helian Linsu could only intervene to prevent people from spilling blood in the sparring. Emo Qingyun did not mind Helian Linsu's intervention at all. On the contrary, he was grateful. Because Helian Linsu intervened, he could hide his strength and find a reason for a draw. At this moment, after the sparring between the two had ended, Sun Huai stood up and walked to the center of the courtyard. He said, "Kid, since everyone is giving you pointers, I will also give you some pointers. I hope you cherish this opportunity." Seeing Sun Huai's actions, Ding Yu's gaze turned cold. He immediately guessed Sun Huai's intentions and said, "Junior apprentice brother Emo, Sun Huai didn't accept your challenge before, but now he's standing up to challenge you. He definitely has some tricks up his sleeve. You must be careful." "Senior brother Ding, don't worry. It's not difficult to deal with him." Hearing Ding Yu's worried words, Emo Qingyun smiled carelessly. He walked towards the center of the courtyard and said, "Seeing that everyone is asking me for advice, you can't help it? Since you sincerely came out to ask for advice, I will definitely do my best to guide you." Emo Qingyun was very clear that Sun Huai had come out to challenge him now because he thought that he had figured out Emo Qingyun's bottom line from watching the battle just now. Sun Huai was scheming against him, but he was also scheming against him. After we fight, you'll know who's guiding whom." Emo Qingyun's words made Sun Huai very unhappy, so he chided him coldly. After Sun Huai finished speaking, he no longer hesitated and immediately attacked Emo Qingyun. Sun Luo Dark Alley. Sun Huai's hands bent into claws. Black chi surrounded his palms as Saint energy surged out. Sun Huai leaped up and waved his palms at Emo Qingyun, creating 4 eerie claw shadows. The claw shadows flashed and intertwined with each other, surrounding Emo Qingyun and forming a gloomy alley. Chi. Once Emo Qingyun was surrounded, eerie sounds came from all around Emo Qingyun. Then, all kinds of undead creatures appeared around Emo Qingyun. There were flowers and plants full of poisonous thorns, willow trees with snake heads, and ghosts baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. For a moment, all kinds of attacks from the sky and the ground enveloped Emo Qingyun. Sun Huai's superpower is stronger than before. Can junior brother Emo block it? Seeing Sun Huai's performance, Ding Yu looked nervous and worried. He said, "Sun Huai's current strength is already at the limit of the universe realm. There is no one in the universe realm who can match him." Sword energy rise. Facing the attacks from all sides, Emo Qingyun did not let his guard down and immediately activated his sword energy. One by one, sharp sword energy formed and blasted at the surrounding undead creatures, blocking their attacks. After activating his sword energy to block the attacks from all sides, Emo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately took out the 9-oxen divine sword. Slash. With the 9-oxen divine sword in hand, Emo Qingyun slashed forward and blasted out a silver dragon-shaped lightning sword light. The lightning sword light blasted out, exuding a terrifying pressure and bombarding the undead creatures in front of it. Boom boom boom, wherever the lightning sword light passed, the surrounding undead creatures were all blasted away by the lightning arcs. In the blink of an eye, the area in front of Emo Qingyun became a vacuum. After blasting open a gap in Sun Luo's dark alley, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and broke out of the encirclement. Seeing this, Sun Huai's expression trembled and a strong sense of uneasiness arose. He hid his true strength in the fight just now. Sun Huai's mind spun and immediately thought of a possibility. He knew the reason for this situation. Knowing that Emo Qingyun had hidden his strength, Sun Huai's face turned pale and he trembled. With the strength Emo Qingyun had just displayed, it would not be too difficult for him to deal with Emo Qingyun. However, Emo Qingyun had hidden his strength, so the situation was completely different. He could no longer figure out Emo Qingyun's depth and could not see through Emo Qingyun's true strength. The unknown was a terrifying thing, and Sun Huai was facing such a situation now. Passage of time, spatial compression, spatial imprisonment. After coming out of Sun Luo's dark alley, Emo Qingyun did not stop and immediately stabbed at Sun Huai. When Emo Qingyun stabbed with his sword, the aura he emitted underwent a great change. What a fast sword! Seeing Emo Qingyun's attack, Sun Huai's expression trembled and a chill ran down his spine. This sword of Emo Qingyun's made him feel like his soul was leaving his body. He did not know how to block it. This is the concept of time. Sensing the concept of Emo Qingyun's sword, Helian Linsu's pretty face trembled, her pair of beautiful eyes staring wide. From Emo Qingyun's previous performance, she had already overestimated Emo Qingyun time and time again. But she did not expect that she still underestimated Emo Qingyun. I didn't expect that he actually concealed his true strength in the exchange just now. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Helian Linsu very easily thought that Emo Qingyun did not use his full strength just now. Immediately, Helian Linsu's face revealed a look of understanding and said, "No wonder when he exchanged blows with people just now, the scene looked dangerous and intense, but he could maintain the battle scene all along, creating the illusion of a fierce battle." At this moment, the doubts in Helian Linsu's heart obtained a perfect answer. Immediately, her gaze when looking at Emo Qingyun underwent a great change. Chapter 2803. Bam! The sword light flashed and Sun Huai was sent flying. Sun Huai spat out blood as he flew backward. His face was filled with fear. He had overestimated himself. He could not even resist Emo Qingyun's attack. What a treacherous fellow! He hid his strength so well. Sun Huai gritted his teeth in anger as he saw his current situation. His face was as dark as ink. Just as Sun Huai was fuming, a frightening thought appeared in his mind. This fellow did not use his full strength when he fought with others. Could he have deliberately set a trap for me? When this thought appeared in his mind, Sun Huai's face twitched a few times, and his face turned pale. If that was the case, the situation would be terrible. While Sun Huai was panicking, a figure approached rapidly. It was Emo Qingyun. He is chasing after me. Does he really want to kill me? The thought that suddenly appeared in his mind scared Sun Huai to the point that he trembled, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Although Sun Huai was panicking, he had no way to avoid it. He could only watch as Emo Qingyun approached. In despair and fear, Sun Huai glanced at Duan Yeyun and begged, "Big brother Duan, save me." Duan Yeyun hesitated when he heard Sun Huai's cry for help. Then, he shouted at Emo Qingyun, "Emo Qingyun, Sun Huai has already admitted defeat. Stop immediately." To Duan Yeyun's surprise, Emo Qingyun chose to ignore his words. Emo Qingyun's attack didn't decrease in the slightest as he swept out with his sword, sending out a sharp sword light. The sword light flashed and arrived in front of Sun Huai. It was aimed at his chest. As the sword light approached, a sense of death enveloped Sun Huai's heart. Under the threat of death, Sun Huai did not dare to hesitate and immediately dodged to the side. Although Sun Huai dodged, he was still hit by the sword light and was sent flying again. Not only that, when Sun Huai was hit by the sword light, one of his legs was also cut off. "Ah! My leg!" Sun Huai's right leg was cut off by the sword chi. He screamed in terror, "Lady Helian, he wants to kill me! Please stop him, save me!" Hearing Sun Huai's miserable shriek, Helian Linsu's beautiful brows wrinkled, and a trace of shock flashed through her eyes. She could tell that Emo Qingyun really intended to kill Sun Huai in the fight. There was a clear difference between this and his previous attack. Just now, when Emo Qingyun fought with the others, although his attacks were very fierce, he still had some sense of propriety. "Brat, you're courting death." Just as Helian Linsu was about to make a move, Duan Yeyun's figure moved, flying towards Emo Qingyun. In his opinion, Emo Qingyun's disregard of his words was a form of disrespect to him. Seeing Duan Yeyun make a move, the expressions of the surrounding spectators all became grave. "Duan Yeyun has made his move. That brat is finished." This brat is too ruthless. He actually wants to kill Sun Huai. I feel that there seems to be some enmity between that brat and Sun Huai. It must be like this. If they don't have enmity, he wouldn't be so ruthless. Some people with discerning eyes saw Mo Qingyun's actions and deduced some details. Immediately, they revealed curious looks, wanting to see how Mo Qingyun would wrap things up. Now that Duan Yeyun already made a move, it was not an easy matter for Mo Qingyun to want to resolve the situation. Duan Yeyun's figure flickered a few times. He arrived behind Mo Qingyun and slammed a palm toward Mo Qingyun. Immediately, a palm image with a monstrous aura pressed down toward Mo Qingyun. Facing Duan Yeyun's palm, Mo Qingyun was not the slightest bit afraid, immediately brandishing the Nine-Bull Divine Sword to counterattack. Time eternal. Spatial imprisonment. Spatial piercing. Space shattering. Mo Qingyun slashed out with his sword, urging the power of several laws to increase the power of this sword. Under the support of several laws, the power of Mo Qingyun's sword rose to a new level. Under the violent impact of the sword light, the palm image that Duan Yeyun blasted out was also instantly shattered. After the sword light shattered the palm image, it slammed toward Duan Yeyun, blocking his path. He actually shattered my palm image. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Duan Yeyun's expression froze, a hint of surprise flashing across his eyes. After a slight surprise, Duan Yeyun blasted out a palm, slamming it toward the sword light that was approaching him. When Duan Yeyun blasted the sword light, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, arriving in front of Sun Huai. Don't kill me. Seeing Mo Qingyun arrive in front of him, Sun Huai was so frightened that his body trembled, immediately begging Mo Qingyun. However, Mo Qingyun chose to ignore Sun Huai's pleas, slashing at him without hesitation, saying, "Don't worry, I'll send you down first. Soon, I'll send Sun Jie to accompany you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Sun Huai finally understood why Mo Qingyun wanted to kill him. Before Sun Huai could finish speaking, the sword light pierced through his head, dispersing his origin spirit. After his origin spirit was dispersed by Mo Qingyun's sword, Sun Huai's eyes widened, his face filled with unwillingness as he fell backwards. Soon after, the aura that Sun Huai emitted dissipated bit by bit. "Kid, how dare you kill someone in front of me? I think you're tired of living." Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Duan Yeyun was furious, roaring loudly at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun had actually killed Sun Huai even after he had stopped him. This was clearly a slap to his face. This kid is too crazy. He actually killed Sun Huai. Although his actions are very crazy, the strength he possesses is extremely powerful. He really is powerful. Even Duan Yeyun was unable to stop him. However, he's offended Duan Yeyun by doing this. It won't be easy to deal with this. Everyone whispered to each other. As they admired Mo Qingyun, they also worried for him. Dingyu was stunned as he stared at Mo Qingyun beside Sun Huai's corpse. He said in surprise, "Junior brother Mo is so domineering. He didn't hesitate at all when he killed. Even Duan Yeyun couldn't stop him." As Dingyu sighed emotionally, he could not help but think of Quan Wenzhong. He said, "If Quan Wenzhong was here and saw this, I wonder what he would think. Miss Helian, what do we do now?" Zhuo Gongxing frowned when he saw the current situation. He asked for Helian Linsu's opinion. Helian Linsu frowned when she heard Zhuo Gongxing's question. Hesitation appeared on her face. He's not afraid even when facing Duan Yeyun. Looks like he's still hiding his strength. Helian Linsu pondered for a while. She made some discoveries and made a plan in her heart. She said, "Don't stop him first. Let's observe first." Helian Linsu really wanted to know where Mo Qingyun's limit was and how strong he was. Chapter 2804. So what if I kill in front of you? Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid of Duan Yeyun's rebuke. He looked at him and said, You couldn't do anything to me just now, and you can't do anything to me now. Emo Qinyun held his sword with one hand and stood proudly, facing Duan Yeyun head-on. Seeing Emo Qinyun's performance, everyone was curious. They wanted to know why he wasn't afraid. It seems that if I don't use some strength, you really think you can compete with me. Duan Yeyun's face turned cold. Two short knives appeared in his hands, emitting cold air. With the short knives in hand, Duan Yeyun turned his body and stirred up a huge storm. The storm was like a ghost dragon, sweeping toward Emo Qinyun. When the storm rushed toward Emo Qinyun, several forces of the law of space enveloped him. Sky-piercing. Sensing the envelopment of the law of space, Emo Qinyun didn't hesitate at all and immediately swung the nine-bull divine sword. A sword light flashed, and the space around Emo Qinyun shattered with the sound of glass shattering. Immediately, the law of space that enveloped Emo Qinyun was forcefully broken. After breaking the law of space that enveloped him, Emo Qinyun didn't hesitate at all and immediately retreated. Space shattering. Space piercing. When Emo Qinyun retreated, he didn't hesitate at all and slashed forward again. Immediately, an even more powerful sword light blasted out from the nine-bull divine sword. Pucci! The sword light hit the storm ghost dragon and cut off its dragon head, defeating its attack. Slowly, the storm ghost dragon dissipated, and the surroundings returned to calmness. He's so strong. He actually broke Duan Yeyun's full-powered attack. Is this kid really in the middle stage of the universe realm? No wonder he dares to challenge Duan Yeyun. It turns out that he has such strength. Japin, are you confident that you can take his sword attack? I can't. Seeing Emo Qinyun and Duan Yeyun fighting, everyone was amazed. Looking at Emo Qinyun, who was in the middle of the courtyard, Helian Linsu's beautiful eyes trembled slightly. She revealed a look of understanding and said, "Just as I guessed, he has indeed reserved his strength. However, I'm afraid that he still can't compete with Duan Yeyun." Helian Linsu muttered to herself. The anticipation in her heart immediately grew stronger. She faintly felt that Emo Qinyun was still hiding his strength in the fight. Seeing Emo Qinyun's performance, Zhuangxing smiled meaningfully and said, "If he can compete with Duan Yeyun, then Duan Yeyun's title as the #1 genius of the demonic sect in the ancient Fan Star Zone will be given to someone else." Hearing Zhuangxing's words, Helian Linsu's pretty face froze for a moment. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a bright light. What Zhuangxing said was true. If Emo Qinyun could do it, Duan Yeyun's name would be lost. Helian Linsu sighed and said, "In that case, Duan Yeyun's action was a mistake. If he had been careless, he might have become Emo Qinyun's stepping stone." "That's right." Zhuangxing nodded in agreement. After defeating Duan Yeyun's attack, Emo Qinyun did not stop and immediately launched a counterattack. Emo Qinyun's figure flashed and immediately appeared in front of Duan Yeyun. He brandished his sword and slashed at Duan Yeyun. Space imprisonment, space compression, space penetration, space shattering. As Emo Qinyun attacked, he used various space laws to restrict Duan Yeyun's movement. Although Duan Yeyun tried his best to resist Emo Qinyun's attack, he was still flustered. What gave him a headache was that the space laws he used had no effect on Emo Qinyun. He's immune to the space laws. What's going on? Duan Yeyun's expression tightened and he was shocked when he discovered Emo Qinyun's strange behavior. This situation was too difficult for him to understand. Duan Yeyun's attack weakened as he panicked. He slowly fell into a passive position. Seeing Duan Yeyun fall into a passive position, the surrounding people were shocked. They thought they were seeing things. Duan Yeyun is being suppressed? Am I seeing things? It's unbelievable. Duan Yeyun is so strong, but he's actually being suppressed. Duan Yeyun is being suppressed because he hasn't used his full strength. Even so, it's an honorable defeat for him to be able to do this. Seeing Emo Qinyun's performance, everyone's faces were filled with shock. It seems that Duan Yeyun can't suppress him without using his full strength. Helian Linsu blinked her beautiful eyes as she looked at the passive Duan Yeyun. She sighed and said, I didn't expect such a genius to appear in the ancient Fan Star field. No matter what the result of today's battle is, Duan Yeyun will become his foil. Duan Yeyun has miscalculated this time. Zhuo Gongxing shook his head and smiled bitterly. Not only will Duan Yeyun be reduced to a foil, but the two of us will too. Yeah. Helian Linsu sighed and did not say anything. After suppressing Duan Yeyun, Mo Qingyun's attack did not decrease. Instead, it became fiercer. It ignored defense. A sword light flashed, and a sharp aura was emitted from the sword light. The sword light flashed and arrived in front of Duan Yeyun, making it impossible for him to dodge. Damn you, kid! Under Mo Qingyun's attack, Duan Yeyun was suppressed. Duan Yeyun gnashed his teeth in anger and shouted, You forced me to do this. I'm going to cut you into pieces. Duan Yeyun shouted angrily, and the aura he emitted rose rapidly. Duan Yeyun did not stop as he exerted all his strength. He immediately slashed at the sword light. Then, an even more powerful saber radiance blasted toward the sword radiance. Puff! To Duan Yeyun's surprise, the sword light actually penetrated the blade light and hit him directly. Duan Yeyun was sent flying by Mo Qingyun's sword under everyone's gaze. Seeing this, Duan Yeyun's eyes widened in disbelief. In a head-on confrontation, he was sent flying by Mo Qingyun. Puff! When Duan Yeyun regained his balance, he spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. After calming down the surging blood in his body, Duan Yeyun looked at Mo Qingyun with a gloomy face and did not speak for a long time. Mo Qingyun's sword strike just now gave him a very strange feeling. He had a feeling that no matter how strong his defense was, he would not be able to block that sword. Compared to Duan Yeyun's shock, the surrounding onlookers were no less shocked. They did not expect such a scene to occur in the fight between Mo Qingyun and Duan Yeyun. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it. Chapter 2805. This kid is too strange. Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of him, Duan Yeyun was shocked to find that he couldn't see through him anymore. While Duan Yeyun was secretly shocked, he also felt a little lucky. He muttered to himself, Fortunately, my cultivation has reached the eternity realm. Otherwise, I would have been defeated in a fight with this kid. The panic in Duan Yeyun's heart eased a little when he thought of his cultivation. As Duan Yeyun stopped hiding his cultivation, an eternity realm aura spread out from his body. Sensing Duan Yeyun's aura, the surrounding people were immediately shocked. Duan Yeyun's cultivation has reached the eternity realm. No wonder he's the top genius of the ancient Fan Star Zone's demon sect. His cultivation talent is monstrous. Compared to Duan Yeyun, the geniuses of some 4-star forces are much inferior. Duan Yeyun's cultivation has reached the eternity realm. There's no doubt about the outcome of this battle. After discovering Duan Yeyun's cultivation, the crowd unanimously believed that Mo Qingyun had no chance of winning. Seeing that Duan Yeyun didn't hide his cultivation, Helian Linsu's pretty face changed slightly, revealing a look of anticipation. She said, Duan Yeyun wanted to defeat him, so he used all of his strength. I wonder how he will perform when faced with Duan Yeyun's full power? Miss Helian, do you think Mo Qingyun still has the strength to fight back? Zhuo Gongxing was surprised to hear Helian Linsu's words. He didn't think that Mo Qingyun could win at all. Helian Linsu smiled in response to Zhuo Gongxing's astonishment. Why can't I? He asked. Helian Linsu's attitude surprised Zhuo Gongxing. He hadn't expected Helian Linsu to think so highly of Mo Qingyun and think that he could fight against an Eternity Realm expert. After calming down, Zhuo Gongxing didn't say anything else. In his opinion, there was no point in arguing about this now. The answer would be revealed soon. Duan Yeyun's aura is much stronger than Daoist Xiang Mi's. Can junior brother Mo contend against him? Sensing Duan Yeyun's aura, Ding Yu's expression tensed up. He was worried about Mo Qingyun. Previously, although Mo Qingyun had defeated Daoist Mengmi, Duan Yeyun was clearly stronger than Daoist Mengmi. Therefore, it would not be so easy for Mo Qingyun to defeat Duan Yeyun. Brat, obediently kowtow and admit your mistake, and I can give you a quick death. Duan Yeyun activated all of his cultivation base and sneered, showing a condescending attitude. In the face of Duan Yeyun's oppressive aura, Mo Qingyun didn't show the slightest bit of fear. With a disdainful expression, he said, "You're just an eternal realm cultivator. I've already discovered it. It's impossible to use this to scare me." Mo Qingyun's reaction made Duan Yeyun uneasy. Her expression immediately became serious. Mo Qingyun knew his cultivation level and still dared to challenge him. It was clear that he had a powerful trump card. "Show me what you're capable of." After exchanging a few words with Duan Yeyun, Mo Qingyun took the initiative to attack, slashing down at Duan Yeyun. In the confrontation just now, he had the advantage in terms of momentum, so he should follow up with another attack. Ignore defense. Space shackle. Space defense. Time like light. Arriving in front of Duan Yeyun, Mo Qingyun slashed out with his sword, blasting out a sharp sword light. The sword ray flashed and arrived in front of Duan Yeyun in the blink of an eye, slashing down at the top of his head. This sword. Seeing the sword ray rapidly approaching, Duan Yeyun's expression trembled, and a trace of fear flashed through his eyes. The power of Mo Qingyun's sword was still fresh in his memory, and it left a shadow in his heart. As such, he felt an instinctive fear when he saw the incoming sword light. When fear arose in Duan Yeyun's heart, he immediately dodged, not daring to take the sword ray head-on. However, the surrounding space was shackled. Even if Duan Yeyun wanted to dodge, there was no way to do so. Left with no choice, Duan Yeyun could only turn his body and try his best to avoid the sword ray. However, the sword ray's attack speed was too fast. Duan Yeyun couldn't dodge in time. "Break for me." Seeing that the sword ray couldn't be completely avoided, Duan Yeyun immediately slashed at it without hesitation. Soon, an even stronger sword ray blasted out from Duan Yeyun's saber. The result was as Duan Yeyun had guessed. The sword ray and saber ray collided and directly passed through each other. After passing through the saber ray, the sword ray hit Duan Yeyun's right leg. Poochie! Under the bombardment of the sword ray, a wound immediately appeared on Duan Yeyun's right leg. Phew! That was close. Looking at the wound on his right leg, Duan Yeyun's expression relaxed, and he rejoiced. Fortunately, he didn't take it head-on. Otherwise, the result wouldn't be like this. Seeing that Duan Yeyun had been injured again, the surrounding people all revealed shocked expressions. They were shocked by this. Did I see it wrong? Duan Yeyun was injured again? Yes, Duan Yeyun was injured again. That kid is too terrifying. With the cultivation of the universe realm, he suppressed a genius of the eternal realm. This kind of battle record is unprecedented. From today onwards, the title of the #1 genius of the ancient Fan Starfield's demon sect will change hands. Not just the #1 genius of the ancient Fan Starfield's demon sect. From today onwards, he will be the #1 genius of the ancient Fan Starfield. Seeing Mo Qingyun's battle record, the crowd whispered, and the way they looked at Mo Qingyun changed. This was because they knew that Mo Qingyun had shocked the world with Duan Yeyun's help. It seems that Duan Yeyun has been reduced to a supporting role. It can't be changed. Seeing the situation of the battle, Zhuo Gongxing couldn't help but sigh. He sympathized with Duan Yeyun. This matter was undoubtedly a blow and humiliation to him. Hearing Zhuo Gongxing's words, Helian Linsu nodded and sighed. Although I had this feeling long ago, seeing it with my own eyes is still very shocking. Immediately, she looked at Emo Qingyun with even more curiosity. She really wanted to see where Emo Qingyun's limit was. Unfortunately, after a short while, she gave up on this idea. She found that the more she wanted to see through Emo Qingyun, the more she couldn't see through him. Junior brother Emo injured Duan Yeyun again. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Dingyu showed an excited expression and couldn't help but stand up. Looking at his performance, it was as if the person who had injured Duan Yeyun was him, and not Emo Qingyun. Dingyu's action immediately attracted the attention of the people around him, and they all looked at him enviously. Everyone knew very well that being able to be on good terms with someone like Emo Qingyun was a fortunate thing. Immediately, they started to flatter him, showing their intention of being on good terms with him. While everyone was in shock, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and charged toward Duan Yeyun again. Seeing Emo Qingyun attack again, Duan Yeyun didn't dare to hesitate and immediately urged the law of time. Under the cover of the law of time, Duan Yeyun's speed immediately rose to a new level. Chapter 28:06 Time Without Regrets. Seeing Duan Yeyun retreat, Emo Qingyun was unwilling to let him go and immediately swept his sword at him. As Emo Qingyun swung his sword, a mysterious time concept emanated from his body. As the time concept spread out, it was as if time had reversed. Although Duan Yeyun was retreating with all his might, the distance between him and Emo Qingyun was still constantly shrinking. Time reversal concept. Sensing the spreading concept, Duan Yeyun's expression trembled, and he produced a sense of panic. How is this possible? This kid is only at the mid-stage universe realm. How can he comprehend three concepts? While being shocked by Emo Qingyun's means, Duan Yeyun did not hesitate at all and immediately released the time acceleration law. Under the time acceleration law, Duan Yeyun's retreating speed immediately increased significantly. Seeing Duan Yeyun's actions, the corners of Emo Qingyun's mouth curled up slightly, and a hint of ridicule appeared on his face. Break time. Under Emo Qingyun's urging, the Nine Bull Divine Sword's third ability, Break Time Acceleration Law, was activated. Immediately, the time acceleration law released by Duan Yeyun was forcibly broken by the Nine Bull Divine Sword. No. This is impossible. This can't be real. Discovering that the time acceleration law was broken, Duan Yeyun was scared out of his wits, and he shouted with a panicked expression. Emo Qingyun's ability had already frightened him. While Duan Yeyun was still in shock, the sword light hit him and sent him flying again. Bang! A loud sound came out. Everyone saw Duan Yeyun's body fly backward at extreme speed like a kite with a broken string. Duan Yeyun crashed into several pavilions in a row before stabilizing his body, looking very miserable. Duan Yeyun used his Eternity Realm cultivation, but he was still seriously injured. With his mid-stage Universe Realm cultivation, he crushed an Eternity Realm powerhouse. Emo Qingyun can be called the first person in history. If he doesn't fall midway, his name will definitely shake the heavens and myriad worlds in the future. Everyone's evaluation of Emo Qingyun rose to a new height. Unexpectedly, I still underestimated him. His battle prowess has already far surpassed ours. Helian Linsu couldn't help but sigh when he saw Duan Yeyun in such a sorry state. A trace of hidden bitterness appeared in his eyes. Emo Qingyun's current performance had also dealt her a blow. Anyone with a discerning eye could clearly see that the tea party had completely become Emo Qingyun's stage. Junior apprentice brother Emo, since the outcome has already been decided, why don't you stop fighting? Zhuangxing had a sympathetic look on his face. He glanced at the disheveled Duan Yeyun and tried to persuade Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun considered Zhuangxing's words before nodding at him. Since senior brother Zhua has spoken, I'll give you some face. However, if he offends me again, don't blame me for being merciless. After Emo Qingyun said this, he walked towards Ding Yu and found a place to sit down. With Helian Linsu and Zhuo Gongxing around, it was unrealistic for him to kill Duan Yeyun. If he continued to fight, he would only anger Zhuo Gongxing. Although he wasn't afraid of Zhuo Gongxing, he didn't want to add to his troubles. If he stopped now, not only could he preserve his dignity, but he could also do Zhuo Gongxing a favor. Why not? Thank you, junior apprentice brother Mo. Seeing that Mo Qinyun was giving him face, Zhuo Gongxing immediately cupped his hands in gratitude. Junior apprentice brother Mo, I'll remember this favor. If you need anything in the future, I'll do my best to help. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Mo Qinyun, Zhuo Gongxing looked at Duan Yeyun and said, Brother Duan, this is all a misunderstanding. Why don't we stop here? Duan Yeyun was displeased when he heard Zhuo Gongxing's words. He nodded but didn't say anything. He understood that Zhuo Gongxing was giving him a way out. If he didn't accept it and continued to fight with Mo Qinyun, he would only embarrass himself even more. The atmosphere of the tea party weakened when Mo Qinyun and Duan Yeyun stopped fighting. Not only that, but no one was in the mood to spar because of Mo Qinyun and Duan Yeyun's battle. Just like that, the curtains fell on the tea party a few hours later. When the tea party ended, everyone bid farewell to Mo Qinyun. They were all very enthusiastic. This kind of performance formed a stark contrast with Mo Qinyun's performance just now. Although Mo Qinyun was a little disdainful of everyone's actions, he still responded courteously. Junior apprentice brother Mo, thank you for your guidance. I'll pay you a visit next time. Zhepin walked up to Mo Qinyun and cupped his hands respectfully at Mo Qinyun. Mo Qinyun smiled faintly and nodded in response to Zhepin's actions. It can't be considered guidance. We were just discussing. If you're interested, you can come find me at the Demon Sect of Supreme Harmony anytime. I'll definitely go sometimes. Zhepin nodded and left with the others. Seeing everyone leave, Mo Qinyun didn't want to stay either. He prepared to leave for the Dark Dragon continent. He didn't attend the Starfield Tea Party just because it was on the way. Now that the tea party was over, it was time for him to head to the Dark Dragon continent. Junior apprentice brother Mo, please wait. Zhuo Gongxing was curious when he saw that Mo Qinyun was about to leave. He hurriedly called out to Mo Qinyun. Mo Qinyun stopped when he heard Zhuo Gongxing's question. He turned around and asked, Senior apprentice brother Zhuo, do you have any instructions for me? It's nothing important. I just wanted the four of us to gather again. Zhuo Gongxing smiled faintly and pointed at Duan Yeyun and Helian Linsu. It's nothing important. I just wanted to ask if you have time. If you do, the four of us can have a little chat. Mo Qinyun understood his intentions. He wanted to use this opportunity to resolve the grudge between Mo Qinyun and Duan Yeyun. Senior apprentice brother Zhuo, I have urgent matters to attend to in the Dark Dragon continent. I'm afraid I don't have time to stay. Mo Qinyun glanced at Duan Yeyun and politely declined Zhuo Gongxing's invitation. Zhuo Gongxing revealed a disappointed expression when he heard Mo Qinyun's words. However, he didn't try to keep Mo Qinyun. You're going to the Dark Dragon continent? While Zhuo Gongxing revealed his disappointment, Helian Linsu's expression changed. A trace of surprise flashed through her eyes. That's right. I'm going to the Dark Dragon continent to see if I can find the Divine Will Herb. Mo Qinyun gave a simple answer to Helian Linsu's question. He then revealed a confused expression and asked, Miss Helian, is there something wrong with your question? No. Helian Linsu hurriedly waved her hands when she heard Mo Qinyun's question. She realized that she had lost her composure. After calming herself down, Helian Linsu blushed slightly and said, I was also preparing to head to the Dark Dragon continent. That's why I was a little surprised when I heard that you were going. May I go with you? Zhuo Gongxing's expression changed slightly when he heard Helian Linsu's words. He revealed a look of surprise and envy. Helian Linsu was a rare beauty. It was rare to be able to travel with her. Compared to Zhuo Gongxing's envy, Duan Yeyun's expression turned cold. A cold light flashed through her eyes. Chapter 2807. Gentlemen, I still have matters to attend to. I'll take my leave first. Duan Yeyun left without waiting for Helian Linsu and Helian Linsu to reply. Zhuo Gongxing shook his head regretfully when he saw Duan Yeyun's actions. He felt a sense of helplessness. It seemed that it would be impossible for him to mediate for Duan Yeyun. I hope he won't be impulsive. Zhuo Gongxing sighed inwardly and shook his head helplessly. In his opinion, it wasn't wise for Duan Yeyun to continue antagonizing Mo Qingyun. Miss Helian, let's not waste any more time. Let's set off immediately. After Duan Yeyun left, Mo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. He turned around and walked out of the courtyard. Helian Linsu immediately followed after Mo Qingyun when she heard his word. They walked out of the courtyard together. After leaving the courtyard, Ding Yu bid farewell to Mo Qingyun and returned to the Supreme Harmony Demon sect alone. Before Ding Yu left, Mo Qingyun exhorted him, telling him not to speak of the matter here. Gentlemen, I'll take my leave too. After Ding Yu left, Zhuo Gongxing also bid farewell and left. After everyone left, Mo Qingyun took out the time battleship and prepared to control it. Time battleship. Helian Linsu was shocked when she saw Mo Qingyun take out the time battleship. She said, I didn't expect you to buy this time battleship from the auction house. This thing isn't cheap. It's a coincidence. Mo Qingyun gave a simple answer. Thinking that he wasn't familiar with the underworld flood dragon continent, Mo Qingyun looked at Helian Linsu and said, Miss Helian, I'm not familiar with the underworld flood dragon continent. If you're familiar with it, please control the flying ship. You're so naughty. I'm going to accompany you, but you want me to be your coolie. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Helian Linsu revealed a hesitant expression. He glared at Mo Qingyun and said, Forget it, I am quite interested in the time battleship. I will take the trouble to control the time battleship and bring you there. After Helian Linsu finished speaking, she entered the time battleship and controlled it to set off on their journey. Helian Linsu controlled the time battleship while Mo Qingyun sat cross-legged in the cabin and immersed himself in cultivation. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Helian Linsu's pretty face changed slightly. Shock flashed in her eyes. I didn't expect him to be so hard-working in his cultivation. He didn't even waste time on the road. It seems like there's a reason for his strength. As Helian Linsu thought about it, she felt some respect for Mo Qingyun. Her gaze softened a little. She had seen a lot of talented people before. However, she had not seen many people like Mo Qingyun, who was both talented and hard-working. Although the three concepts of time are powerful, in front of the laws of time, they are far from enough. Thinking back to his fight with Duan Yeyun, Mo Qingyun discovered his own shortcomings. He thought to himself, if that's the case, I still have to comprehend the laws of time if I want to truly contend against an Eternity Realm powerhouse. As Mo Qingyun thought this, he started to comprehend the laws of time, perfecting the concept of time little by little. While comprehending the laws of time, Mo Qingyun also activated the gate of time to help him comprehend the laws of time. Time passed little by little as Mo Qingyun cultivated. As time passed, Mo Qingyun's comprehension of the concept of time became stronger and stronger. It became more and more perfect. This fellow's concept of time is actually close to the level of great success. Helian Linsu's pretty face changed when she sensed the changes in Mo Qingyun's concept. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock as she said, if his concept of time is at the peak of the universe boundary, doesn't that mean he can comprehend the laws of time while still at the universe boundary? As soon as this thought appeared, Helian Linsu's face filled with shock. She had been frightened by her own thoughts. While Helian Linsu was shocked, Emo Qingyun's aura suddenly underwent a qualitative change. His concept of time has reached the level of great success. Helian Linsu's expression changed when she sensed the change in Emo Qingyun's concept of time. She said inwardly, "Does he really intend to comprehend the concept of time to perfection while still at the universe boundary and evolve it into the laws of time?" While Helian Linsu was shocked, they arrived at the Dark Dragon continent. Seeing that they had arrived at the Jiaoming continent, Helian Linsu hesitated. He wondered if he should inform Emo Qingyun. After some hesitation, Helian Linsu gave up on this idea and didn't disturb Emo Qingyun's cultivation. Helian Linsu stood guard at the side, patiently waiting for Emo Qingyun to finish cultivating. About 2 days later, Emo Qingyun, who was cultivating, opened his eyes and shook his head regretfully. "It's a pity that I wasn't able to comprehend the concept of time to perfection and evolve it into the laws of time." Helian Linsu pouted when she heard Emo Qingyun's words. She felt a strong sense of grievance. Her cultivation had reached the peak of the universe boundary. In order to break through to the eternity realm, she had spent more than 100 years. Emo Qingyun had only used a little over 10 days to comprehend the concept of time to greater success. Yet he was still unsatisfied. It had to be said that his words were too hurtful. "Miss Helian, where are we?" Emo Qingyun asked curiously when he saw Helian Linsu staring at him with wide eyes. Helian Linsu had a bitter expression when she heard Emo Qingyun's question. "We arrived at the Dark Dragon continent 2 days ago. I saw that you were still cultivating, so I didn't disturb you and have been guarding you until now." "In that case, thank you for your hard work, Miss Helian." Emo Qingyun cupped his hands gratefully and asked, "Miss Helian, since we've already arrived at the Dark Dragon continent, what do you plan to do next?" Helian Linsu frowned slightly and revealed a thoughtful expression. After thinking for a moment, Helian Linsu revealed a crafty expression. She sized up Emo Qingyun and snorted. "Humph! I've spent so much effort controlling the time battleship and even watched over you while you cultivated. If you don't compensate me, don't even think of chasing me away so easily." Emo Qingyun was dumbfounded. He had to admit that Helian Linsu had suffered a lot along the way. Of course, he also knew that Helian Linsu wasn't really angry when she said that. When he thought of Helian Linsu's hardships along the way, Emo Qingyun revealed a pleading expression. "Miss Helian, to express my gratitude, please tell me if you have any instructions for me as soon as possible." "That's what you said." Helian Linsu nodded in satisfaction when she saw Emo Qingyun's attitude. She revealed a sweet smile and said, "I'm preparing to make a trip to the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon Cave. You can come with me and be my hired thug. You should be pretty good as a hired thug." Helian Linsu's request left Emo Qingyun speechless. However, since she had already said that she wanted to thank him, Emo Qingyun didn't refuse and readily agreed. Chapter 2808. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go now. After deciding to accompany Helian Linsu, Emo Qingyun didn't want to waste any more time. He gestured for her to lead the way. He wasn't familiar with the Dark Dragon continent, so he could ask Helian Linsu about it on the way to the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon Cave. "Okay." Helian Linsu responded to Emo Qingyun's suggestion and led the way. Helian Linsu was very familiar with the underworld Flood Dragon continent. He was very familiar with the place and didn't feel unfamiliar at all. On the way to the Dark Dragon continent, Helian Linsu answered Emo Qingyun's questions one by one. She said, "Mr. Emo, other than the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon Cave, there are 2 other danger zones on the Dark Dragon continent. They are the Dark Blood Dark Rock Cliff and the Dark Broken Dragon Valley. There might be Realm Transformation Divine Will Grass there. If you want to find Realm Transformation Divine Will Grass, you can try your luck at the Dark Blood Dark Rock Cliff and the Dark Broken Dragon Valley. As for the place where the Kuan Realm Lord broke through, it's already in ruins. I'm afraid there won't be any realm transformation divine will grass there. Emo Chingyun nodded after hearing Helion Linsu's words. He had a better understanding of the Dark Dragon continent. As he gained a better understanding of the Dark Dragon continent, Emo Chingyun also had some doubts. Logically speaking, the place where the Kuan realm lord broke through should be the place with the densest realm force. Why is there no realm transformation divine will grass? I'm not sure about that. Helion Linsu shook her head as if she didn't know anything. Emo Chingyun didn't ask any more questions. He changed the topic and asked, Miss Helion, the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon Cave is one of the 3 danger zones. Is there anything special about it? What details should we pay attention to? The Dark Spirit Flood Dragon Cave is an ancient flood dragon cave. There are many flood dragons living there. Helion Linsu's expression turned serious when she heard Emo Chingyun ask about the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon Cave. She patiently explained to Emo Chingyun, before the Starfield Tea Party, I went to the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon Cave and fought a great battle with the flood dragons there. In the end, I lost and was defeated by them. That's why I asked you to help me. Emo Chingyun felt depressed. He didn't think that Helion Linsu wanted him to accompany her just to be her helper. If Helion Linsu was looking for helpers, Zhuangxing and Zhuangxing were more suitable than Emo Chingyun. Sensing Emo Chingyun's questioning gaze, Helion Linsu felt guilty and no longer concealed the truth from Emo Chingyun. Helion Linsu explained, It's like this. Last time, there was a genius from another sect who came with me. This person is familiar with Zhuangxing and Zhuangxing. If we ask Zhuangxing and Zhuangxing to help us, we might be overcautious. It's better to ask for your help. I see. After hearing Helion Linsu's words, Emo Chingyun understood. With such an explanation, everything made sense. However, Emo Chingyun was puzzled as he asked, How can you be so sure that I will definitely help? Actually, I can't be sure. I just want to give it a try. Helion Linsu honestly told Emo Chingyun her thoughts. She then revealed a sweet smile and said, I didn't expect you to agree so readily. It seems like I made the right choice. That might not be the case. Emo Chingyun smiled bitterly at Helion Linsu's answer. My strength is not comparable to Zhuangxing and Zhuangxing. I might not be able to help when the time comes. Emo Chingyun's worry made Helion Linsu fall silent. This was definitely a possibility. She also didn't know what kind of helpers Zhuangxing would ask for when he returned. Next, Emo Chingyun and Helion Linsu chatted as they walked, discussing the countermeasures to enter the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave. After a few hours, Emo Chingyun and Helion Linsu arrived at the entrance of the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave. The Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave was located in front of a cliff. Below the cliff was a black swamp that emitted a gloomy and cold aura. Mr. Emo, the cave under the cliff is where the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave is located. Helion Linsu's pretty face was tense as they arrived at the periphery of the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave. She pointed out the location to Emo Chingyun. Following the direction Helion Linsu was pointing, Emo Chingyun quickly saw a cave. His expression also became serious. Under his observation, he discovered that there were many viper demonic beasts moving around the entrance of the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave. Those are the carrion lizards. They are responsible for guarding the entrance of the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave. If you want to enter, you must kill them. Looking at those viper demonic beasts, Helion Linsu's gaze turned cold and her aura became fierce. Hearing Helion Linsu's words, Emo Chingyun nodded knowingly and continued to observe the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave. Hey, that little grass seems to be. While Emo Chingyun was observing the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave, a strange little grass attracted his attention. He saw an ice crystal-shaped little grass growing above the entrance of the Dark Spirit Flood Dragon's Cave. There was a strange energy surrounding the little grass, isolating it from the outside world. At first glance, the ice crystal-shaped little grass seemed to be growing in another world. The divine will grass of realm. Following Emo Qingyun's gaze, Helian Linsu also discovered the little grass. Her pretty face was full of shock as she said, "You are so lucky. The last time I came here, I didn't find this divine will grass of realm. I didn't expect you to find it this time. My luck has always been good." After recognizing the divine will grass of realm, Emo Qingyun didn't waste any time and immediately flew towards it. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Helian Linsu quickly followed. Roar! Emo Qingyun and Helian Linsu's approach immediately attracted the attention of the scavenger flood dragons, who let out a series of roars. Immediately, these scavenger flood dragons twisted their bodies and pounced towards Emo Qingyun and Helian Linsu. When the scavenger flood dragons pounced on Emo Qingyun and Helian Linsu, they opened their mouths and spat out clouds of purple mist. "Be careful, the mist is poisonous." Helian Linsu's pretty face tensed up as she watched the mist envelop them. She quickly warned Emo Qingyun. However, Emo Qingyun didn't care about the mist at all. He just casually waved the divine sword of 9 oxen. Immediately, a purple mist with an even more ferocious aura engulfed the mist. Chi-chi-chi! When the two purple mists collided, they let out an ear-piercing sound and produced black smoke. This was the result of the collision of two highly toxic poisons. What kind of poison is this? It's even more powerful than the scavenger flood dragon's poison. Looking at the scene before her, Helian Linsu's beautiful eyes widened. Once again, she was shocked by Emo Qingyun's performance. She was sure that if Emo Qingyun's purple mist sword chi enveloped her, even if she didn't die, she would lose a layer of skin. While Helian Linsu was shocked, she was also secretly delighted. She said, "It seems that asking him for help was the right choice." Chapter 2809. Suddenly, several figures appeared not too far away and flew rapidly towards the dark spirit flood dragon's cave. Helian Linsu's pretty face tensed up when she saw those people. Oh no, Zhu Lin has brought people over. If they discover the boundary transformation divine will herb, they will definitely try to snatch it. Helian Linsu watched anxiously as the group arrived not too far away and hovered above the dark spirit flood dragon's cave. The boundary transformation divine will herb. Among the group of people, a woman in red discovered the spirit will herb of transcendent. The woman in red smirked and said, "Helian Linsu, since I've also seen the boundary transformation divine will herb, I can't let you have it alone. Zhu Lin, I advise you not to have any ideas about the boundary transformation divine will herb. It won't do you any good." Hearing the woman in red's words, Helian Linsu's pretty face turned cold, and she gave her a warning. However, Zhu Lin didn't take her warning to heart at all. He smiled nonchalantly and said, "If I had been alone, your warning might have been useful. Unfortunately, I came here fully prepared this time." As Zhu Lin spoke, she raised her head proudly and pointed at the group of people around her. Emo Qingyun didn't seem to care about the arrival of Zhu Lin and the others. He collected the boundary transformation divine will herb without hesitation. Emo Qingyun waved his hand and the spirit will herb of transcendent realm fell into his hand. Zhu Lin's face darkened when he saw Emo Qingyun's actions. "Kid, hand over the boundary transformation divine will herb immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciful." Emo Qingyun stowed the boundary transformation divine will herb before he looked at Zhu Lin and the others and scanned them. 2 eternal grade and 5 quasi-eternal grade martialists. This lineup is pretty strong. Emo Qingyun narrowed his eyes when he sensed the cultivation bases of Zhu Lin and the others. He then asked Helian Linsu, who was beside him, "Are you confident that you can stall them for 2.5 minutes?" As Emo Qingyun spoke, he pointed at Zhu Lin and an old man. Both of them were at the initial stage of the eternal realm. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Helian Linsu's beautiful eyes lit up. She understood what Emo Qingyun meant. Emo Qingyun was trying to say that if she could hold back Zhu Lin and the other two, Emo Qingyun would be able to quickly deal with the others. Although it's a little difficult, it's worth a try. Helian Linsu thought for a while, and gave Emo Qingyun an answer. Hearing Helian Linsu's reply, Emo Qingyun understood what was going on. He looked at Zhu Lin and said, "I'll give you all a chance. If you leave this place now, I won't make things difficult for you." Emo Qingyun's words flabbergasted Zhu Lin and the others. Even with their battle prowess, they had actually been warned by a universe realm cultivator. This was too comical. "Kid, are you joking?" Zhu Lin had a disdainful look on his face. He curled his lips at Emo Qingyun and said, "I didn't even take Helian Linsu's warning seriously. Do you think you can make us retreat with just a few words?" "Miss Zhu Lin, this kid is probably scared silly. That's why he said such words. In my opinion, this kid is puffing himself up at his own cost. He's pretending to be calm in front of Helian Linsu." "That's right. Although his mouth is arrogant, his body is definitely honest. Maybe he's already pissed his pants." The crowd behind Zhu Lin sneered at Emo Qingyun. Seeing the reaction of Zhu Lin and the others, Emo Qingyun's expression turned cold. "Then there's nothing more to say. You hold back those two. I'll deal with the other 5 as soon as possible." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed and turned into a streak of light. After a few flashes, Emo Qingyun arrived in front of a person and slashed at him. Ignoring defense, space imprisonment, space compression, time like light, Emo Qingyun waved the Nine-Bull Divine Sword and slashed out a ray of sword light, bombarding that person with extreme speed. Facing Emo Qingyun's attack, that person was so frightened that his expression trembled, and a sense of panic arose. So fast. With a scream, that person took out his weapon to block Emo Qingyun's attack. Taking out a saber, that person slashed forward, blasting out a wave of saber light. However, what shocked him was that the sword light actually penetrated his saber light. The sword light penetrated the saber light, approached him, and directly slashed his throat. Slash. A ray of blood flashed. Under Emo Qingyun's sword, that person's head was chopped off. His eyes widened in disbelief. After his head was chopped off by Emo Qingyun, that person's primordial spirit fled in a panic, fleeing into the distance. However, before he could escape, Emo Qingyun slashed at him with his sword, directly blasting his primordial spirit to pieces. With this, Emo Qingyun killed a quasi-eternal realm expert. Seeing this scene, Zhu Lin and the others were all dumbfounded. The smiles on their faces froze, and their expressions were extremely fascinating. This can't be real. Seeing Emo Qingyun instantly kill a person, Zhu Lin found it somewhat difficult to accept. In her opinion, with Emo Qingyun's cultivation, it was impossible for him to possess such battle strength. Hearing Zhu Lin's shocked words, his companions all had shocked expressions on their faces. This scene had happened too quickly, and they were not prepared at all. So fast. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Helian Linsu was also greatly shocked, and his entire person was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that Emo Qingyun would make a move without any hesitation. More importantly, Emo Qingyun had actually killed a quasi-eternal realm expert in an instant. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she really wouldn't have dared to believe it. Seeing the dazed Helian Linsu, Emo Qingyun put on a solemn expression and urged her, "Don't just stand there. Go and delay the two of them. I'll take care of the other trouble." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed, and he attacked another person. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Zhu Lin and the others' expressions changed and they all looked nervous. Because of their carelessness, they had allowed Emo Qingyun to launch a sneak attack and instantly kill one of them. This kind of mistake could not be made again. "Kid, you're courting death." Zhu Lin shouted and rushed towards Emo Qingyun, wanting to personally deal with Emo Qingyun. Seeing Zhu Lin's actions, Helian Linsu did not hesitate and immediately went to meet Zhu Lin. Soon, Helian Linsu and Zhu Lin stood side by side, suppressing Zhu Lin. Seeing that Zhu Lin's situation was not good, the Eternity Realm Elder immediately went to help Zhu Lin. As for the other 4 quasi-eternal realm experts, they joined forces to deal with Emo Qingyun. Good timing! Seeing the 4 quasi-eternal realm experts attacking, Emo Qingyun was not the slightest bit afraid and directly went to meet them. Chapter 28:10. Although he was fighting 1 against 4, Emo Qingyun was not at a disadvantage at all. From beginning to end, he was still at ease. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, the corners of Zhu Lin's eyes twitched. He was secretly shocked. He can fight 1 against 4, yet he can still handle it with ease. This person's combat strength is too terrifying. Where did Helian Linsu find him? With such confusion, Zhu Lin's expression turned cold. He turned to look at Helian Linsu and asked, "Helian Linsu, who is this person? Where did you find him?" "I don't know his origins. I just happened to run into him." Hearing Zhu Lin's question, Helian Linsu showed a helpless expression and gave her an answer. The situation was indeed so. She did not know Emo Qingyun's origins. They had only met at the Starfield Tea Party. Naturally, Zhu Lin was not satisfied with Helian Linsu's answer. "Humph!" Zhu Lin snorted, his expression turning even uglier. He felt that Helian Linsu was patronizing him. If she did not even know Emo Qingyun's origins, why would Helian Linsu help him? More importantly, Emo Qingyun was not familiar with Helian Linsu. Why would he agree to help her? This did not make sense at all. Helian Linsu did not care about Zhu Lin's anger and dissatisfaction. This was the truth. Not to mention that she didn't know, even if she knew Emo Qingyun's background, she wouldn't tell Zhu Lin. Otherwise, when this matter was over, what would she do if Zhu Lin came to settle accounts with Emo Qingyun? Seeing Helian Linsu's attitude, Zhu Lin's anger increased. With a dark expression, he said, "Helian Linsu, it doesn't matter if you don't tell us. After we kill you, we will slowly deal with that kid." After Zhu Lin finished speaking, her attacks became fierce, frantically attacking Helian Linsu. With the help of the Eternity Realm Elder, Helian Linsu's situation became even worse. She was in a perilous situation. Fortunately, Emo Qingyun's battle record was remarkable. In just a moment, he killed another person. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Helian Linsu's fighting spirit increased. She just needed to hold on a little longer. 3 left. After killing another person, Emo Qingyun's lips curled up as he looked at another person. Under Emo Qingyun's gaze, that person's expression trembled. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead and his face turned pale. At this moment, he felt like he was being stared at by the god of death, causing him to shudder. The other party's fear and panic did not make Emo Qingyun relent. Spatial overlap. A wave of space law was released, immediately separating them and scattering their battle prowess. After separating them, Emo Qingyun charged towards one of them and slashed out with his sword. Time was like light. Ignore defense. Spatial shackles. Spatial compression of space. Emo Qingyun slashed out with his sword and released several types of spatial laws to restrict that person's battle prowess. Under the suppressions, Helian Linsu's his God's will, his yes is God, his heavens is of, he's let's fight. Seeing that he couldn't escape, the man's expression turned resolute. He shouted, "Kid, if you want me to die, you'll have to pay the price." The man swung the single-edged halberd in his hand. A halberd light tore through the air and slashed at the approaching sword light. However, although his divine ability was powerful, it couldn't block the sword light at all. With a flash of the sword, the man's chest was sliced open, and he was sent flying by the force of the blow. A hideous wound appeared on the man's chest after he was struck by the sword light. Soon after, the clothes in front of his chest were dyed red with blood. He cut an extremely sorry figure. Not only that, but the aura he emitted was also weakening rapidly. Emo Qingyun's attack didn't stop. He continued to attack the man. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed. He appeared in front of the man and stabbed at him again. Eternal time. The sword stabbed out, emitting a mysterious concept. It was as if time had stopped. Enveloped by this concept, the man froze on the spot. He even forgot to resist. Not good. By the time he came back to his senses, the sword light had already arrived in front of him and slashed across his neck. Then, he felt a chill on his neck. His head and body started to separate. His eyes widened when he saw this. He couldn't believe that this was real. He couldn't resist Emo Qingyun's attack at all. He could only watch on helplessly as he was slaughtered. Emo Qingyun didn't stop after cutting off the man's head. He swung his sword again. Then, that person's primordial spirit was dispersed by the sword light. In 3 moves, a quasi-eternity realm powerhouse was killed by Emo Qingyun. When Emo Qingyun killed the man, the other 2 had just broken free from the overlapping space. They didn't even have the chance to help. Soon after, the 2 of them were dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with fear. In less than a quarter of an hour, 3 quasi-eternity realm powerhouses had died under Emo Qingyun's attack. In this way, the 2 of them weren't even enough to fill the gaps between Emo Qingyun's teeth. Miss Zhu Lin, my saint power suddenly reversed. I'm afraid I can't help you. Miss Zhu Lin, although I agreed to help you, I don't want to die. Goodbye. The 2 of them didn't dare to stay any longer. They immediately turned and fled for their lives. Seeing their actions, Zhu Lin was so angry that her pretty face turned ashen. She gnashed her teeth. Emo Qingyun didn't chase after the 2 of them. He immediately flew toward Helian Linsu. He discovered that Helian Linsu couldn't hold on much longer under the attacks of the 2 of them. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that Helian Linsu's face was pale. He had already suffered some minor injuries. Time was like light. Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated when he arrived at Helian Linsu's side. He immediately swung his sword at the 2 of them. A sword light flashed and arrived in front of Zhu Lin in the blink of an eye, forcing them to retreat. As the 2 of them retreated, Helian Linsu also retreated. Her expression relaxed a little. Although she was very strong and talented in cultivation, she still felt a lot of pressure when facing 2 Eternal Realm powerhouses. Whoosh! After retreating to Emo Qingyun's side, Helian Linsu took a deep breath and smiled sweetly. Now that she had Emo Qingyun's help, she no longer felt any pressure when facing the 2 of them. The 2 of them retreated 1,000 meters before they managed to block Emo Qingyun's sword light. Their faces were filled with lingering fear. At this moment, they finally realized how strong Emo Qingyun's combat strength was. At the same time, they also understood why the 5 quasi-eternal realm powerhouses couldn't stop Emo Qingyun even if they joined forces. Emo Qingyun forced Zhu Lin and the other man back with a single sword strike. A faint smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. He looked at Zhu Lin and the other man not far away and said, "Without the interference of those 5 fellows, we can have a fair battle." Hearing Emo Qingyun's provocation, the 2 of them looked at each other, their expressions uncertain. Chapter 28:11. Don't you want to snatch the divine will herb of realization? Why are you standing there like idiots? Seeing that Zhu Lin and Helian Linsu did not attack, Emo Qingyun took out the divine will herb of realization and deliberately provoked them. Emo Qingyun's action immediately angered Zhu Lin and Helian Linsu. They could no longer maintain their rationality. "Boy, you're courting death." Zhu Lin roared angrily and rushed toward Emo Qingyun first, lashing out at Emo Qingyun with her whip. Zhu Lin waved the flaming sword like the wings of a vermilion bird, erupting with terrifying waves of fire. Mr. Mo, be careful. Zhu Lin has the vermilion bird weathered plane sacred body. The flames she controls are very strong. Seeing Zhu Lin lashing out at Mo Qingyun, Helian Linsu looked worried and immediately warned Mo Qingyun. However, Mo Qingyun was not afraid of the whip shadow at all. He did not even try to dodge. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Helian Linsu's pretty face changed, and a strong sense of worry rose in her. In her opinion, if Mo Qingyun was hit by the whip shadow, he would definitely be seriously injured and lose the ability to fight. If that was the case, the situation would not be good for them. Boy, you're too arrogant. Die. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Zhu Lin looked smug and laughed wildly. Looking at her, it was as if she was sure to win. It's not that I'm too arrogant, but that you're underestimating your opponent. As soon as Zhu Lin finished speaking, Mo Qingyun's voice came from the flaming whip shadow. As soon as Mo Qingyun's voice fell, a sharp sword light pierced through the flaming whip shadow. The sword light was so fast that before Zhu Lin could react, it was in front of her. Oh no, this boy is going to destroy everything. Miss Lin, step back. Seeing the sword light approaching, the old man from Aeon Realm was shocked and quickly reminded Zhu Lin. As soon as the old man from Aeon Realm reminded her, he also moved and rushed toward Zhu Lin. Space compression. Time acceleration. As the old man moved, he used several types of laws to increase his speed. The old man's figure flashed and arrived in front of Zhu Lin, striking the sword light with his staff. Sky-shaking staff. The old man swung his staff. Black light flickered on the long staff, and a huge staff shadow appeared. However, the staff shadow's attack did not weaken the sword light's attack. With a flash, the sword light pierced through the rod shadow and landed on the old man's body. Bam! After being hit by the sword ray, the old man was immediately sent flying and spat out a mouthful of blood. Zhu Lin. Her beautiful Zhu Lin was. Hers T.S. Lin. Are you all right? Calm. Hearing the Eternal Realm old man's words, Zhu Lin glanced at Mo Qingyun, his gaze complicated. Mo Qingyun had passed through the whip shadow without any injury. Not only that, but Mo Qingyun was surrounded by a shield of thunder and fire. He also has a saint body. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, Zhu Lin's pretty face trembled. Something was wrong. She immediately understood why Mo Qingyun had not dodged her whip shadow attack. That's the Thunder and Fire Dragon Saint body. It just so happens to restrain your Vermilion Bird Saint body. Recognizing Mo Qingyun's saint body, the old man's expression tensed. He was deeply worried. This situation was far from good for them. So he has the Thunder and Fire Dragon Saint body. No wonder he doesn't fear Zhu Lin's flames. Helian Linsu's face lit up when she learned that Mo Qingyun had a saint body. She looked at Zhu Lin sympathetically and said, Zhu Lin is unlucky to have met this guy. It seems that I made the right choice to ask him for help. Helian Linsu came to Mo Qingyun's side and said, Mr. Mo, that Eternal Realm Elder is injured. Should we take advantage of the situation and pursue him? Kill. Mo Qingyun nodded at Helian Linsu's question. He charged toward Zhu Lin and Helian Linsu. You deal with Zhu Lin. I'll deal with this old man. Once I've dealt with him, I'll help you kill Zhu Lin. Okay. Helian Linsu understood Mo Qingyun's arrangement. She understood that Mo Qingyun's arrangement was the best possible outcome. Even if the Eternal Realm Elder was injured, she wouldn't be able to kill him in a short amount of time. However, Mo Qingyun was different. This guy's fighting strength defied the heavens and his attacks were fierce and violent. If she was the slightest bit careless in a fight with him, she would be cut down by his sword. Miss Lin, leave quickly. I'll hold them back. The old man's expression trembled when he saw Mo Qingyun and Helian Linsu rush over. He immediately urged Zhu Lin. He knew very well that they had lost their advantage. If Zhu Lin stayed, it would only increase their casualties. The only thing he could do now was use his own life to buy time for Zhu Lin to escape. Uncle Hui, I won't leave. I'll take him down with me. When Zhu Lin heard the old man's words, he looked at Mo Qingyun coldly with an indignant expression. In her opinion, it was all Mo Qingyun's fault that they had ended up like this. Leave quickly, or this old man will die in vain. The old man had an anxious expression on his face as he urged Zhu Lin again. Only then did he warn her. Only by keeping your life will you have a chance to avenge this old man. Don't let this old man die in vain. As the old man spoke, he rushed towards Mo Qingyun and Helian Linsu, looking as if he was going to put his life on the line. Seeing the old man's actions, Zhu Lin gritted his teeth and made a difficult decision. He said, Helian Linsu, just you wait. I will definitely get my revenge. Zhu Lin left behind these vicious words. Then, she turned into a streak of light and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Mo Qingyun didn't chase after Zhu Lin. Instead, he looked coldly at the old man and said, Since you want to die in her place, I'll fulfill your wish. Ignore defense. Time like light. Space imprisonment. Space compression. Mo Qingyun slashed down with his sword. A sword light flashed and arrived in front of the old man in the blink of an eye. Then, the sword light pierced through the old man's body and instantly dispersed his vitality. With his vitality severed, the old man revealed a sinister smile and roared, Brat, if you want to kill this old man, you'll have to pay a painful price. The old man roared. The aura he emitted immediately became violent. Seeing the old man's actions, Mo Qingyun immediately understood what he was going to do. He wants to self-destruct. Retreat quickly. After reminding Helian Linsu, Mo Qingyun put his arm around Helian Linsu's shoulder and retreated with her. As Mo Qingyun retreated, he released several types of space laws to increase his defensive power. When Mo Qingyun and Helian Linsu retreated, the old man's body self-destructed, creating a terrifying shockwave. Chapter 28:12. Bang, bang, bang. Under the shock wave of the explosion, the surrounding mountains and vegetation were all crushed into powder. Some of the surrounding demonic beasts were also instantly killed, crushed into pieces by the shockwave. Mo Qingyun and Helian Linsu retreated tens of thousands of meters before they managed to avoid the shockwave. Lingering fear appeared on their faces. The power of an Eternity Realm expert's self-destruction is too terrifying. Recalling the impact just now, Mo Qingyun felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, his reaction was fast enough. When he saw the old man's abnormality, he immediately retreated with Helian Linsu. Otherwise, the two of them would have been in danger. No matter how strong his physique was, if he was hit by the shockwave, he would have been severely injured. Thank you very much. Helian Linsu calmed the panic in his heart and expressed his gratitude to Mo Qingyun. With lingering fear, he said, If it weren't for you saving me just now, under the impact of that wave of energy, I would definitely have died. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Helian Linsu's gratitude. He frowned as he looked ahead and said, The old man's self-destruction has already turned the area ahead into ruins. I'm afraid the dark spirit flood dragon's cave will be hard to protect. Will it damage the thing you are looking for? I don't know. Helian Linsu shook his head. Seeing the shockwave slowly calm down, Mo Qingyun flew forward and said, No matter what the result is, let's go take a look first. Maybe there will be a turn for the better. Helian Linsu followed closely behind Mo Qingyun and returned to the entrance of the dark spirit flood dragon's cave. At this moment, the mountain where the dark spirit flood dragon's cave was located had been razed to the ground. However, there was a cave that extended underground where the dark spirit flood dragon's cave had been. If there were no surprises, this underground cave should be the undestroyed dark spirit flood dragon's cave. There is still a part of the dark spirit flood dragon's cave. Let's go in and take a look. Looking at the underground cave, Emo Qingyun gave Helian Linsu some instructions and flew in first. After entering the cave, Emo Qingyun discovered many dragon snake limbs scattered all over the place. Under the impact of the chi waves, the bodies of these flood serpents were shattered. I wonder if any of them survived. Looking at the scattered corpses, Emo Qingyun's expression tensed up, and the joy in his heart grew even stronger. He could tell that these serpents were not weak when they were alive. They were all at the quasi-universe realm. Helian Linsu's pretty face paled as she looked at the corpses of the flood serpents around her. The lingering fear on her face grew stronger. If Emo Qingyun hadn't saved her, she might have been smashed into pieces by the shockwave just like the flood snake. While Emo Qingyun was apprehensive, he was also secretly delighted. He smiled faintly at Helian Linsu and said, although the situation just now was dangerous, the old man detonated himself to kill these flood snakes, saving us some trouble. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, a faint smile appeared on Helian Linsu's face. Emo Qingyun was right. Exploring the Nether Spirit Flood Dragon's cave had indeed saved them a lot of trouble. Although there were no obstructions along the way, Helian Linsu was not careless. She said in a deep voice, when I came here last time, I encountered 2 Eternity Realm purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons. Their corpses are not here. Perhaps they were not killed. Let's be careful. Emo Qingyun nodded. They couldn't relax before seeing the corpses of the Eternity Realm purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons. If the 2 purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons were not dead and hid in the dark to ambush them, it would be very dangerous. The deeper they went into the cave, the more nervous Emo Qingyun and Helian Linsu became. They were worried that the purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons would suddenly ambush them. Be careful. There was an obscure aura fluctuation just now. It probably came from the purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragon. A hidden aura entered Emo Qingyun's perception. He immediately raised his guard. Hearing Emo Qingyun's warning, Helian Linsu focused her mind and carefully guarded her surroundings. Under the careful guidance of Emo Qingyun and Helian Linsu, they went deeper into the cave and quickly approached the bottom. Roar, roar! At this moment, 2 deafening roars came from a corner. Then, Emo Qingyun saw 2 huge flood serpents pouncing toward the 2 of them. Seeing these 2 flood dragons attacking, Emo Qingyun hurriedly retreated and said to Helian Linsu, it's those 2 purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons. They aren't injured. Let's fight them with all our strength. Spatial imprisonment. Spatial expansion. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he released the law of space and put some distance between the 2. Under the power of the law of space, the distance between Emo Qingyun and the 2 purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons was instantly pulled apart. When Emo Qingyun retreated, Helian Linsu also retreated and stood beside Emo Qingyun. After putting some distance between the 2 purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons and resolving their ambush, Emo Qingyun began to size them up. These 2 purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons were both at the Eternity Realm and very close to the middle stage. Fortunately, they aren't at the middle stage of the Eternity Realm. Otherwise, it would be difficult to deal with them. After sensing the strength of the purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons, Emo Qingyun's expression relaxed and he let out a deep breath. After calming the panic in his heart, Emo Qingyun pointed at one of the purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons and said, I'll deal with this one. You go and pin down the other one. After I deal with this one, I'll deal with the other one with you. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure moved and rushed towards one of the purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragons. Seeing Emo Qingyun make a move, Helian Linsu didn't hesitate and immediately rushed towards the other purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragon. In an instant, a great battle broke out. Spatial imprisonment, spatial compression, time like light. When he arrived in front of the purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragon, Emo Qingyun swung his sword and blasted out a fierce sword light. The sword light was extremely fast and didn't wait for the purple-crowned nether flood dragon to move his body to dodge. Bang! After being hit by the sword light, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's body was immediately blasted into the ground. Shortly after, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon let out a miserable cry and crazily twisted his body. What surprised Emo Chinyun was that when the purple-crowned nether flood dragon twisted his body actually shrank rapidly. What a cunning demonic beast. He actually knows how to shrink his body to dodge my attack. Seeing the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's actions, Emo Chinyun frowned and a trace of surprise flashed through his eyes. He found that as the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's body shrank, its defensive power also became stronger little by little. After shrinking his body, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon rushed towards Emo Chinyun as if he wasn't injured at all. What a strong defensive power! Seeing the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's performance, Emo Chinyun was surprised again. If an ordinary expert of the Aeon realm was hit by his sword, even if they didn't die, they would be seriously injured. On the other hand, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon in front of him was actually completely fine after receiving a heavy blow from his sword. This was a little frightening and a little beyond his expectations. It seems that it won't be easy to kill this purple-crowned nether flood dragon. After discovering the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's extraordinariness, Emo Chinyun didn't want to hold back anymore and attacked even more fiercely. Chapter 28:13. Ignore defense. Space imprisonment. Space compression. Time like light. When Emo Chinyun swung his sword, he released several types of nomological laws that augmented the sword beam. The sword light flashed and soon arrived in front of the purple-crowned nether flood dragon and slashed at its body. Facing the sword light's attack, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon did not resist but twisted its body quickly. But even so, the sword light still gathered and blasted it into the ground again. Bang! A loud sound was heard. Immediately, a big pit was blasted out where the purple-crowned nether flood dragon was. After a cloud of dust rolled, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's body was revealed with a hideous wound on its body. Roar! After being seriously injured by Emo Chinyun's sword, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon roared angrily and pounced at Emo Chinyun. When the purple-crowned nether flood dragon attacked, waves of mysterious space law were emitted from its body. Then, Emo Chinyun found that the surrounding space was forcibly sealed. In addition, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's movement speed also increased sharply in an instant. Space piercing. Seeing the current situation, Emo Chinyun did not dare to be careless and immediately slashed forward with his sword. The Nine-Bull Divine sword flashed and slashed out a sword light, instantly breaking the space in front of it. After breaking the space in front of it, the attack of the Nine-Bull Divine sword did not decrease and continued to blast at the purple-crowned nether flood dragon. After being hit by the sword light twice in a row, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon instinctively feared the sword light attack. Facing the sword light attack, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon did not dare to resist and immediately twisted its body to dodge. Immediately, its attack on Emo Chinyun also stopped because of this. After forcing the purple-crowned nether flood dragon back with a sword, Emo Chinyun did not stop and stabbed at it again. The angle of this sword was very tricky. It blasted at the purple-crowned nether flood dragon from the opposite direction and cut off its escape route. Under the situation of being attacked from the front and back, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon no longer dodged and took the second sword light head-on. Bang! After being bombarded by the sword light, it was once again blasted away and crashed into the wall of the cave. Under the impact of the purple-crowned nether flood dragon, a huge hole was instantly created in the wall of the cave. After sending the purple-crowned nether flood dragon flying again, Emo Chinyun turned his head to look at Hellion Linsu, wanting to see how her battle was going. As Emo Chinyun scanned the room, he realized that Hellion Linsu's situation wasn't particularly optimistic. The defense of the purple-crowned nether flood dragon was too strong. Hellion Linsu's attacks could hardly hurt it, because it was not afraid of Hellion Linsu's attack. The purple-crowned nether flood dragon reduced its defense and attacked Hellion Linsu without fear of death. Seeing such a scene, Emo Qingyun's face turned cold and he immediately flew towards Hellion Linsu. Chop! Emo Qingyun came to Hellion Linsu's side. Without saying a word, he slashed at the purple-crowned nether flood dragon. A sword light flashed and instantly blasted on the body of the purple-crowned nether flood dragon, sending it flying in an overbearing manner. Who? The purple-crowned nether flood dragon was sent flying by Emo Qingyun. Hellion Linsu took a deep breath and calmed the pressure in her heart. After sending the purple-crowned nether flood dragon flying, Emo Qingyun thought for a moment and said, "That purple-crowned nether flood dragon is injured. Its strength is only about 70%. You go and deal with it. I'll take care of this one." Okay. Hearing Emo Qingyun's arrangement, Hellion Linsu nodded and accepted. Immediately, Hellion Linsu tapped the ground with the tip of her foot and flew towards the other purple-crowned nether flood dragon. After instructing Hellion Linsu, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and attacked the purple-crowned nether flood dragon. As soon as Emo Qingyun made his move, he displayed a kind of violent attitude and madly waved the nine-bull divine sword. Under Emo Qingyun's swing, sword light blasted out one after another, like meteors streaking across the sky. Bang bang bang, under the bombardment of the sword light, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon was directly knocked into the air and constantly swayed in the air. At this moment, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon was like a target, bearing Emo Qingyun's violent bombardment. Although the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's defense was terrifying, under such a degree of attack, it began to be injured bit by bit. Then, the aura of the purple-crowned nether flood dragon weakened bit by bit. So strong. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Hellion Linsu's pretty face trembled slightly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock as she said, "Under his attack, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon actually has no power to resist. Is this his full strength?" At this moment, Hellion Linsu really realized that she had underestimated Emo Qingyun. Under Hellion Linsu's shocked gaze, Emo Qingyun attacked crazily, and his mind was still thinking, "The purple-crowned nether flood dragon's defense is too strong. If I want to break its defense, I have to attack a spot and slowly break through its surface." With this thought in mind, Emo Qingyun changed his attacking method and attacked a spot on the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's body. Under Emo Qingyun's change of attack, the power of his attack immediately increased, and soon broke through the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's defense. After breaking through the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's scales, Emo Qingyun's expression immediately became joyful. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth and he said, "Since your defense has been broken, it's time to kill you." Emo Qingyun said to himself, and he strengthened his attack, attacking even more crazily. In a short while, under Emo Qingyun's attack, the purple-crowned nether flood dragon was killed. After killing the purple-crowned nether flood dragon, Emo Qingyun raised his hand and waved, collecting the corpse and said, "The purple-crowned nether flood dragon's scales have strong defense. It should be a good choice to refine it into armor." After collecting the purple-crowned nether flood dragon's corpse, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he came to Hellion Linsu's side and said, "Leave it to me. You go and find the thing you want to find." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he took over from Hellion Linsu and attacked the purple-crowned nether flood dragon. "Okay." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Hellion Linsu nodded, and began to search in the cave. For a moment, Emo Qingyun and Hellion Linsu had a clear division of labor, each doing their own thing. With the previous experience, Emo Qingyun obviously had a much easier time dealing with the purple-crowned nether flood dragon. Not long after, under Mo Qingyun's attack, the purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragon was also killed. After killing the purple-crowned Nether Flood Dragon, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and waved, and the corpse was taken away. At this time, Helian Linsu walked over, and smiled sweetly at Mo Qingyun, and said, "We've found the thing, let's leave here." "Okay," Mo Qingyun replied. Immediately, the two of them flew towards the cave and soon left the cave. After coming out of the cave, Helian Linsu showed a reluctant expression and said, "What do you plan to do next? Are you going to explore other secret realms?" "No, I've found the divine will herb of transforming realm. I should return to the Supreme Harmony Demon sect." Hearing Helian Linsu's question, Mo Qingyun shook his head and told her his plan. There was not enough time to search for the Kuan Realm Lord's cave, and he planned to come back later. Knowing that Mo Qingyun was going to return to the sect, Helian Linsu's beautiful eyes flashed with disappointment. Chapter 28:14. Will you be participating in the Star Field Battle for Brilliance in a few months? Helian Linsu pondered for a moment before a look of anticipation appeared on her face. She then asked Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't hide anything from Helian Linsu. He nodded his head honestly and said, "I'm rushing back now to prepare for the Star Field Battle for Brilliance." "So that's how it is." Helian Linsu nodded her head in satisfaction when she heard Mo Qingyun's answer. She smiled sweetly at Mo Qingyun and said, "In that case, we'll meet again in the Star Field Battle for Brilliance. I hope you'll still remember me at that time." "I actually won't forget," Mo Qingyun replied seriously. Mo Qingyun and Helian Linsu exchanged some pleasantries before they parted ways. Mo Qingyun took out the time battleship and entered it. He controlled it to return to the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate. The time battleship's speed was several times faster than the Black Devil flying ship. "At this speed, I'll be able to return to the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate in a few days." Mo Qingyun revealed a delighted expression when he saw the speed of the time battleship. He thought to himself, "In that case, I will return to the Supreme Harmony Demon sect. There are still 2 months before the start of the Star Field Battle Brilliance. I can cultivate in seclusion for a while." The participants of the Star Field Battle for Brilliance were all geniuses from various star fields. Mo Qingyun didn't dare to lower his guard. With his current strength, he didn't feel much pressure when facing early Eternal Realm experts. However, he would feel a lot of pressure when facing mid-Eternal Realm experts. There was no guarantee that there wouldn't be mid-Eternal Realm experts among the participants of the Star Field Battle for Brilliance. 5 days passed just like that. Mo Qingyun returned to the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate. After returning to the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate, Mo Qingyun made a trip to Babeli's residence to inform him that he was safe. Huang Xiaolong briefly recounted his journey to Babeli before returning to his residence. After returning to his residence, Mo Qingyun didn't delay and directly entered the Fortune Mainland. When he arrived at the Fortune Mainland, Mo Qingyun's figure flickered and appeared outside the Grand Mist Sea. Plop! Mo Qingyun leaped into the Primordial Mist Sea and dived into it. After moving stealthily towards the Primordial Mist for a while, Mo Qingyun stopped moving, and then he started to set up a formation to capture and kill the Primordial Spirit. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. After half a month of hard work, Mo Qingyun had killed more than 10 Grand Mist Spirit. However, their strength was not too strong. Apart from 3 late-stage Universe Realm beasts, the rest were either early-stage or mid-stage Universe Realm beasts. There wasn't even a single peak Universe Realm beast. Time is tight before the Star Field competition for brilliance. We can't waste time hunting Grand Mist Spirit. Seeing his harvest, Mo Qingyun immediately decided to give up on hunting Grand Mist Spirit. After that, Mo Qingyun left the Primordial Mist and started to refine and absorb the Primordial Spirits he'd killed. As Mo Qingyun refined the Grand Mist Spirit, The aura he emitted grew stronger little by little. A few days passed quickly. After a few days of cultivation, more than 10 Grand Mist spirits had been refined and turned into his cultivation base. Peak Mid-Stage Universe Realm. Sensing his cultivation base, Emo Qingyun shook his head regretfully and said, "What a pity. If I had broken through to the late-stage Dao Universe Realm, my strength would have been a bit stronger." After sighing slightly, Emo Qingyun began to collect his thoughts and said, "Compared to the strength brought by increasing my cultivation base, comprehending the time law is more efficient." With this thought in mind, Emo Qingyun began to comprehend the time law, wanting to use it to increase his strength. With the help of the Gate of Time, Emo Qingyun's efficiency in comprehending the time law was much higher than other people. As time passed, Emo Qingyun's time concept finally entered the Great Perfection stage. What I need to do now is transform the time concept into the time acceleration stage. Emo Qingyun's time concept was derived from time like light, so it could only transform into the time acceleration stage. Time passed little by little. Emo Qingyun's aura became more mysterious. After an unknown amount of time, Emo Qingyun's aura underwent a qualitative transformation. Success. Emo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised that he had transformed the time-like light concept into the time acceleration stage. Now that he had successfully comprehended the time acceleration stage, he could rely more on himself to participate in the star-field battle for glory. Counting the time, there's not much time left until the star-field battle for glory begins. After making some calculations, Emo Qingyun's figure disappeared in a flicker, leaving the Fortune mainland. Just as Emo Qingyun left the Fortune mainland, a commotion came from outside. "Emo Qingyun, you cowardly turtle, come out and fight me if you have the guts. If you're afraid of being beaten, roll out and kowtow to beg for mercy. Cowardly turtle, cowardly as a mouse trash." Clamoring noises could be heard from outside the house. Hearing the commotion outside, Emo Qingyun's brows furrowed in confusion. Who is provoking me, inciting so many people to fight? Filled with confusion and curiosity, Emo Qingyun opened the door and walked out of the room. When Emo Qingyun walked out of the room, he saw a familiar face in the crowd. "So it's you." Looking at Quan Wenzhong in the crowd, Emo Qingyun's eyes narrowed slightly, exuding a chilling aura as he said, "I didn't expect that after not seeing you for a while, you're here to cause trouble again, delivering yourself to my door to be beaten." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Quan Wenzhong laughed loudly, disdainfully saying, "Emo Qingyun, last time I was careless and suffered a loss in your hands. This time, I'm going to pay you back double, chopping off both your arms." "Not a bad idea, but I'm afraid you don't have the ability." Understanding Quan Wenzhong's intention, Emo Qingyun didn't want to talk nonsense with him and said, "I'll give you a chance, go directly to the Heavenly Demon God platform." After Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he flew up and rushed towards the Heavenly Demon God platform. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, Quan Wenzhong's expression was stunned, somewhat surprised by Emo Qingyun's straightforwardness. He didn't expect Emo Qingyun to agree so readily without any hesitation. Even if you have a conspiracy, I can still defeat you." Looking at Emo Qingyun's back, Quan Wenzhong snorted coldly and chased after Emo Qingyun. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, some of Quan Wenzhong's followers also rushed towards the Heavenly Demon God platform. After a while, Emo Qingyun and Quan Wenzhong arrived at the Heavenly Demon God platform, attracting some people's attention. "Junior brother Emo, you're back." Ding Yu, who was standing in the crowd, saw Emo Qingyun coming and immediately greeted him warmly. Hearing Ding Yu's greeting, Emo Qingyun nodded politely and said, "I came back a few days ago, and just came out of seclusion today." Ding Yu nodded, then looked at Quan Wenzhong and the others and asked, "Why did you think of coming to the Heavenly Demon God platform?" "He wants to take revenge on me, so I'm here to fulfill his request." Mo Qingyun pointed at Quan Wenzhong, a faint smile on his lips, and a playful look appeared in his eyes. Chapter 28:15. After being defeated by Yu, he broke through to the eternity grade under the stimulation of hatred. Ding Yu retracted his gaze and told Mo Qingyun about Quan Wenzhong. I reckon that the reason he dared to seek revenge on you is related to his cultivation breakthrough. So he broke through to the eternity grade. No wonder he was so confident. Mo Qingyun looked enlightened after learning about Quan Wenzhong's situation. The doubts in his heart had been resolved. Quan Wenzhong had broken through to the eternity grade, so it was understandable that he had come to seek revenge. If he had had a grudge against someone, he would have also gone to seek revenge after his strength had increased substantially. While Mo Qingyun was talking, the battle between the two people in front of him had ended. Quan Wenzhong couldn't wait to jump onto the heavenly demon platform as soon as he saw that the battle had ended. Standing in the center of the heavenly demon platform, Quan Wenzhong's expression darkened as he looked at Mo Qingyun and shouted, Mo Qingyun, get down here and fight. I'll teach you a good lesson this time. Sigh. Ding Yu couldn't help but sigh when he saw Quan Wenzhong's actions. This fellow's actions were clearly asking for a beating. Upon hearing Quan Wenzhong's shout, Mo Qingyun didn't say anything else. He immediately flew towards the heavenly demon platform. When Mo Qingyun arrived at the heavenly demon platform, the surroundings were bustling with noise and excitement. There's a good show to watch. That's right. I wonder if Mo Qingyun will be able to suppress Quan Wenzhong this time. I think it'll be very difficult. Quan Wenzhong has already broken through to the eternity grade and is much stronger than before. The gap between the quasi-eternity grade and the eternity grade is indeed as wide as a chasm. Mo Qingyun is bound to lose this time. Wise is bound to lose. Mo Qingyun still dared to accept the challenge. His courage is outstanding. Everyone was whispering to each other. They all believed that Mo Qingyun was bound to lose. Mo Qingyun arrived at the heavenly demon platform, looked at Quan Wenzhong, and waved his hand casually. Make your move. Let me see how much you've improved after breaking through to the eternity grade. Arrogant. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Quan Wenzhong's face darkened and a strong anger arose. He had originally thought that Mo Qingyun would be flustered when he fought with him this time. However, Mo Qingyun's reaction was the complete opposite of what he had imagined. He was still as calm as ever. This kind of behavior made him very unhappy, as if Mo Qingyun was looking down on him. 10,000 lions sky-shattering fist. Quan Wenzhong shouted angrily. He waved his fist madly and bombarded Mo Qingyun. As Quan Wenzhong waved his fists, golden fist shadows flew out like a torrential rain. In the blink of an eye, the sky was filled with fist shadows, bombarding Mo Qingyun. How powerful! There must be at least tens of thousands of fist shadows. 100,000, a total of 100,000. Quan Wenzhong's divine ability has become stronger again. The power of each fist shadow is comparable to the attack of a quasi-universe realm expert. This punch is enough to make an eternity realm expert pale. Mo Qingyun is in trouble. He won't be defeated by a single punch, right? Looking at the power of Quan Wenzhong's fist, everyone was worried for Mo Qingyun. Under everyone's nervous gaze, a fierce energy gathered outside Mo Qingyun's body. Soon after, this gang qi transformed into the shape of a sword and met the fist shadows that filled the sky. Bang bang bang, the fist shadows and the sword energy collided and exploded in mid-air like flowers blooming. In just a moment, the sky above the heavenly demon arena was shrouded in a terrifying wave of air. However, Quan Wenzhong's full-force attack was also neutralized by Mo Qingyun. Junior brother Mo's sword energy is so strong. It can restrain Quan Wenzhong's divine ability. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Ding Yu's expression was shocked, and his eyes were filled with shock. The people next to him were in the same mood as Dingyu. They were also shocked by Emo Qingyun's performance. Just so. After blocking Quan Wenzhong's divine ability, Emo Qingyun curled his lips disapprovingly and said, "You broke through to the Eternity Realm, but your strength didn't improve much. You really disappoint me." "Humph. That was just a warm-up. The show hasn't started yet." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Quan Wenzhong snorted coldly and attacked Emo Qingyun again. Quan Wenzhong's figure flashed and turned into a speck of starlight, disappearing from everyone's sight. So fast. Seeing Quan Wenzhong's speed, Dingyu's expression trembled, and his eyes were filled with shock. "I didn't expect Quan Wenzhong's strength to increase so much after breaking through to the Eternity Realm. I'm afraid I can't take a single blow from him." When Dingyu thought of this, he felt a little depressed and couldn't help but feel a little frustrated. Before Quan Wenzhong's breakthrough, he was weaker than him, but now he had completely surpassed him. This gap made him feel uncomfortable. This is a little more interesting. Facing Quan Wenzhong's attack, Emo Qingyun wasn't afraid at all, and a faint smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. Then, a mysterious power of law radiated from his body. Under the support of this power, Emo Qingyun's movement speed rose to a new level. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed, and his movement speed was actually comparable to Quan Wenzhong's. That's time acceleration law. Emo Qingyun comprehended time acceleration law. Emo Qingyun comprehended time acceleration law? Your feeling is right? It's absolutely right. Comprehending time acceleration law at space realm cultivation, Emo Qingyun's talent is too terrifying. No wonder he wasn't afraid at all when facing Quan Wenzhong. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, the surrounding people were all shocked. Hearing the surrounding people's words, Dingyu was absent-minded and said in surprise, "I didn't expect junior apprentice Brother Mo's strength to increase greatly in just a few days. This speed of improvement really makes people feel powerless." While Dingyu sighed in his heart, it also stimulated his fighting spirit, and he decided to charge towards the Eternity Realm. Time acceleration law. Seeing Emo Qingyun's speed, Quan Wenzhong's expression trembled, and a chill ran down his spine. He dared to challenge Emo Qingyun because he relied on time acceleration law to suppress Emo Qingyun. He did not expect that Emo Qingyun had also comprehended the law of time acceleration, causing him to lose his backing. This unforeseen event caught him unprepared, and he panicked for a moment. "It's just time acceleration law, I just happened to comprehend it." After activating time acceleration law and arriving in front of Quan Wenzhong, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "It's still too early for you to seek revenge on me." Hearing Emo Qingyun's contemptuous words, Quan Wenzhong's face darkened, and a strong anger arose. He was looked down upon by Emo Qingyun again, and this feeling made him very unhappy. Before Quan Wenzhong could speak, he saw Emo Qingyun swing his sword and slash a sharp sword light at him. Facing the incoming sword light, Quan Wenzhong didn't dare to be careless and immediately dodged. Chapter 28:16. You want to dodge? Can you dodge? Seeing Quan Wenzhong's actions, Emo Qingyun saw through his intentions and swung his sword at him again. Years without regrets. With a slash of the sword, Emo Qingyun's aura underwent a subtle change. The sword light flashed and soon arrived in front of Quan Wenzhong and bombarded him. Under the sword light's momentum, Quan Wenzhong found that his body was actually retreating bit by bit. Although this range was not large, it prevented him from dodging and forced him to face the sword light head-on. Time rewind concept. Seeing his situation, Quan Wenzhong's expression trembled and panic emerged on his face. The more he fought with Emo Qingyun, the more he found that he had no ability to resist. I can't dodge his sword light. The best way is to attack and trade life for life. Looking at the sword light that was getting closer and closer, Quan Wenzhong's face hardened and made a decisive decision. Immediately, Quan Wenzhong did not retreat in the face of the sword light's attack. Wrath of the Heavenly Lion Fist. Quan Wenzhong took a step forward and clenched his fists tightly as his saint power gathered like a storm. At the same time, a 1,000-foot shadow appeared outside Quan Wenzhong's body. Quan Wenzhong's heart moved and the 1,000-foot shadow waved its fists and blasted out a series of fist lights at Emo Qingyun. For a moment, the entire heavenly demon arena was shrouded in golden fist shadows. Facing such a situation, Emo Qingyun had no way to retreat and could only take the bombardment of the fist shadows head-on. You want to trade life for life with me? You've miscalculated. Seeing Quan Wenzhong's actions, Emo Qingyun grinned with a ruthless look on his face. When it came to risking his life, he was not afraid of anyone. Emo Qingyun shouted coldly. He did not retreat and took the fist shadows head-on. Sword Aura. Nebula Saint Cloth. Thunder Fire Dragon Sacred Body. The Absolute Beginning Creation Dark Bloodline. Although he took the fist shadows head-on, Emo Qingyun was not careless and immediately activated various defensive means. In a short period of time, Emo Qingyun's defensive capabilities had been raised to the extreme. After raising his defense, Emo Qingyun brandished his 9-bull divine sword and slashed at Quan Wenzhong. Emo Qingyun waved the 9-oxen divine sword and slashed out a sword light that violently blasted towards Quan Wenzhong. Bang bang bang, in the blink of an eye, the sword light blasted on Quan Wenzhong's body, leaving a hideous wound. When the sword light hit Quan Wenzhong, Emo Qingyun was also submerged by the fist shadows, enduring the bombardment of the fist shadows. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people were stunned. This situation was far beyond their expectations. It was something they had never thought of before. These two fellows are crazy. They actually chose to fight in such a way. Fortunately, we didn't provoke them. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. I wonder who will be able to stand in the end if we fight head-on. It should be Quan Wenzhong. His cultivation is higher, so his physique should be stronger. That's probably the case. Emo Qingyun would be at a disadvantage if he were to face them head-on. After calming down, everyone began to analyze the situation. They all agreed that Emo Qingyun would lose. Looking at the situation on the Heavenly Demon platform, Ding Yu's expression tensed up. He frowned slightly and said, I didn't expect Quan Wenzhong to be so crazy. He actually chose to fight in such a way. Junior brother Mo's situation is not good. I hope he'll be fine. Under everyone's expectant gaze, the battle storm slowly dissipated, revealing the figures of Emo Qingyun and Quan Wenzhong. On the Heavenly Demon platform, one was standing quietly, while the other was lying on the ground in a sorry state. Seeing such a scene, everyone's expression tensed. They wanted to see the two figures clearly. After a short while, when they saw the figures clearly, all of them widened their eyes. No way, right? Emo Qingyun beat Quan Wenzhong to the ground? His physique is so strong? He can't even compare to an Eternity Realm powerhouse? It's too terrifying. Quan Wenzhong can be considered to be 8 lifetimes of bad luck to provoke him. Everyone exclaimed. It seems that I worried too much. Seeing Quan Wenzhong's miserable state, Ding Yu smiled bitterly and shook his head unconsciously. Duan Niyun's strength is far stronger than Quan Wenzhong's. If he can't do anything to junior brother Emo, how can he be injured by Quan Wenzhong? Thinking of this, Ding Yu knew that he worried too much. Do you have any other methods? Looking at Quan Wenzhong lying on the ground, Emo Qingyun's lips curled into an evil smile. If you don't have any more moves, then it's my turn. After Emo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed and he waved his sword at Quan Wenzhong. A sword ray burst out and hit Quan Wenzhong in the blink of an eye, lifting his body into the air. After Quan Wenzhong's body was sent flying, Emo Qingyun took advantage of the momentum and slashed down, landing directly on Quan Wenzhong's back. Then, a sword mark appeared on Quan Wenzhong's back. The wound was so deep that bones could be seen. After being bombarded by Mo Qingyun, Quan Wenzhong screamed miserably, revealing a terrified expression. But before he could beg for mercy, Mo Qingyun slashed out with his sword again, and it landed on his right shoulder. Under Mo Qingyun's sword, his right arm was cut off. After crippling Quan Wenzhong's right arm, Mo Qingyun's attack did not stop as he continued to madly attack. Bang! Mo Qingyun stepped out and stepped on Quan Wenzhong's head, stomping him onto the heavenly demon stage. Quan Wenzhong's body crashed onto the heavenly demon stage and immediately made a loud noise. Seeing this scene, everyone held their breaths and felt a strong fear towards Mo Qingyun. Looking at Quan Wenzhong under his foot, Mo Qingyun's expression was cold. "Today I'll cripple both of your hands. If you bother me again, I won't let you go." As Mo Qingyun's words fell, he kicked Quan Wenzhong off the heavenly demon stage with his right foot. After kicking Quan Wenzhong, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and came to Ding Yu's side. After saying goodbye to Ding Yu, Mo Qingyun left and returned to his residence. "I advise you to swallow this anger and stop thinking about revenge." Coming in front of Quan Wenzhong, Ding Yu's expression showed that he couldn't bear it and kindly reminded him. After Ding Yu finished speaking, he didn't stay any longer and left the heavenly demon stage. Whether Quan Wenzhong listened or not, it was none of his business. "Junior brother Mo, Master is looking for you. Come with me." As soon as Mo Qingyun returned to his residence, he saw a young man summon him to see Babilai. This young man was called Song Yu, Babeli's personal disciple. "Senior brother, please lead the way." Hearing the young man's words, Mo Qingyun nodded. Then, Mo Qingyun followed the young man to the conference hall. When Mo Qingyun arrived at the conference hall, Babilai and the others were already waiting. They seemed to have something important to discuss. Mo Qingyun entered the conference hall. He bowed to everyone and found a seat. Chapter 28:17. I have gathered everyone here to explain the Starfield Battle for Glory. Babilai sat at the front of the hall with a serious expression as he explained the details of the Starfield Battle for Glory. After listening to Babeli's explanation, Mo Qingyun's understanding of the Starfield Battle for Glory increased significantly. The so-called Starfield Battle for Glory was a competition where the geniuses of the various sects of the ancient Fan Starfield would represent their own sects and compete against the geniuses of other sections. However, the rewards of this competition were extremely attractive. The top 100 sects would obtain a spot to enter the ancient Fan-blessed land and let their disciples enter to seek opportunities. The master of the ancient Fan-blessed land, Gu Fan, was a quasi-emperor powerhouse who was only one step away from becoming a martial emperor. Great emperor realm experts were supreme existences in the myriad of heavens and realms. Although quasi-emperor Gu Fan was not a true martial emperor, the fact that he could be called an emperor was enough to prove that he was extraordinary. Just thinking about the number of treasures in the cave of a quasi-emperor powerhouse was enough to make one excited. It is actually the cave of a quasi-emperor powerhouse. After hearing Babeli's words, Mo Qingyun's expression froze in shock. Then, he felt a sense of anticipation as he thought to himself, "There are countless treasures in the cave of a quasi-emperor powerhouse. Perhaps I can find the Time Demonic Energy Stone and the Eternal Sacred Stone in the ancient Fan-blessed land." Mo Qingyun thought to himself and decided that he had to enter the ancient Fan-blessed land. At this moment, Mo Qingyun wasn't the only one in the hall who had such thoughts. Song Yu, who led the way for Mo Qingyun earlier, also had a look of excitement at this moment. He was filled with anticipation for Gu Fan-blessed land. The number of people who can participate in the Starfield Battle for Glory is limited. Each sect can only send 10 people. Babilai paused for a moment and glanced at Mo Qingyun and the others before he said, Now, I will announce the candidates who will participate in the star domain battle. When they heard Babeli's words, all the disciples in the hall tensed up. Under everyone's nervous gazes, Babilai read out the candidates one by one. Zhang Zhenfei, Shen Hongmei, Song Yu, Huang Benmo, Situ Pei, Zhou Yinxing, Cheng Luo, Wang Huani, Jiang Mui, and Mo Qinyun. The names of the 10 people participating in the Star Field Battle for Glory were read out by Babilai. Junior apprentice brother Mo is also here. Master really thinks highly of him. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's name, Song Yu was astonished. He looked at a silver-haired young man and said, "Who would have thought that Shen Shi would be eliminated? It seems that he has been replaced by junior brother Mo. I wonder if he will be willing to accept this." Song Yu muttered to himself. He sized up Shen Ji, wanting to see his reaction. Under Song Yu's gaze, Shen Shi walked to the center of the hall and said in a dissatisfied tone, "Sect Master, I don't approve of the candidates for the Star Field Battle." "Jier, don't be rude." Seeing Shen Ji's actions, a white-haired old man immediately spoke out to stop him. This white-haired old man was called Shen Liang. He was Shen Shi's grandfather and the Grand Elder of the Supreme Harmony Demon Sect. In response to Shen Liang's words, Babilai smiled faintly and waved his hand. He said, "Grand Elder Shen Liang, don't mind him. Let us hear if Shen Shi has any good suggestions." Babilai had expected this situation to happen. He knew very well that letting Mo Qinyun, a universe realm cultivator, represent the Supreme Harmony Demon Sect in the Star Field Battle for Glory would definitely cause some dissatisfaction. Even if Shen Shi didn't stand up, someone else would. This was unavoidable. Upon hearing Babeli's words, Shen Liang nodded and didn't stop Shen Shi. "Sect Master, I don't have any objections to other people participating, but I don't agree with Mo Qinyun." Shen Shi wasn't afraid of Babeli's gaze at all. He pointed at Mo Qinyun and said, "I know that Mo Qinyun's cultivation talent is extraordinary, and you value him a lot. However, with his mid-stage universe realm cultivation, he's far from enough to participate in the Star Field Battle for Glory. I don't think he's a suitable candidate." After hearing Shen Shi's words, everyone looked at Mo Qinyun, wanting to see his reaction. Under everyone's gazes, Mo Qinyun's expression was calm. There was no fluctuation in his emotions. He knew very well that since Babilai wanted him to participate, he must have thought of a countermeasure. "Tell me, why isn't Mo Qinyun suitable?" Looking at Shen Shi, Babeli's expression was calm. He didn't show any displeasure. Shen Shi didn't hide his thoughts. He directly said to Babilai, "The performance in the Star Field Battle for Glory is related to the quota to enter Gufan Blessed Land. I think that with Mo Qinyun's cultivation, it's impossible for him to perform well in the Star Field Battle. He should be replaced by someone stronger." "Who do you think is more suitable?" Babilai asked. "It's not up to me to decide who to replace him. However, if he wants my approval, he has to defeat me," Shen Shi replied. Knowing what Shen Shi meant, Babilai looked at Mo Qinyun and asked, "Qinyun, what do you think? Are you willing to accept Shen Shi's challenge?" "I accept senior brother Shen's challenge." Mo Qinyun nodded in response to Babeli's question. He swept his gaze over the others and said, "Senior brothers, if you have doubts about my strength, you can all step forward now. I accept all your challenges." Mo Qinyun's actions shocked everyone in the hall. "This kid is too arrogant. He has to be taught a lesson. I advise you to forget about it. His strength isn't simple. You might not know this, but not long ago, he crippled Quan Wenzhong. I heard that Mo Qinyun crippled Quan Wenzhong when he broke through to the Eternal Realm? It's absolutely true." Some disciples discussed in low voices. They were all afraid of Mo Qinyun. Although Quan Wenzhong's strength wasn't as good as theirs, he was still an Eternal Realm powerhouse. The fact that Emo Qingyun could cripple Quan Wenzhong was enough to prove that Emo Qingyun was strong. He wasn't an easy bone to chew. If they were the slightest bit careless and jumped out now, they might end up in a difficult position. It would be good to let Shen Shi test Emo Qingyun first, lest they put themselves in danger and put themselves in a difficult position. Everyone looked at each other. Apart from Shen Shi, no one else made a move. Babelli's expression turned solemn when he saw this scene. Since no one has any objections, let's let Emo Qingyun and Shen Shi fight. The winner will participate in the Star Field battle. Although some people were unwilling to accept this, they didn't dare show it. The opportunity had been right in front of them. If they didn't seize it, they couldn't blame anyone else. After Babilai made the decision, he stood up and walked out of the hall. Let's go to the Heavenly Demon platform now and let Emo Qingyun and Shen Shi fight. Chapter 28-18 The Heavenly Demon Arena. Not long after, Emo Qingyun's group arrived in a grandiose manner. The arrival of Emo Qingyun and the others immediately attracted everyone's attention. They were all shocked and confused. The sect master is here, and so are the supreme elders. What are they doing? I'm not sure, but one thing is for sure. Something big must have happened. Look, Emo Qingyun and Shen Shi are on the Heavenly Demon Arena. Turns out that Emo Qingyun wants to challenge Shen Shi. Shen Shi is one of the top 10 disciples. He's much stronger than Quan Wenzhong. Will Emo Qingyun be his match? It seems that Emo Qingyun's victory over Quan Wenzhong has boosted his confidence. Looking at Emo Qingyun on the Heavenly Demon Arena, the crowd whispered and discussed. In their discussion, there was no lack of disparagement towards Emo Qingyun. They felt that Emo Qingyun was a little arrogant. In addition, without exception, they all thought that Emo Qingyun would definitely lose. Did you hear that? No one seems to think that you can win. Listening to the discussions of the people around him, Shen Shi had a smug look on his face as he raised his head proudly. He also thought that since everyone said so, the result must be like this. They don't believe that I can win. So what? Emo Qingyun didn't care about Shen Shi's words. He smiled and said, If you think that you can win just because others think you can, then you're destined to have a tragic end. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Shen Shi immediately became angry and said coldly, All right, I'd like to see how you're different from other universe realm cultivators. Shen Shi didn't say anything more to Emo Qingyun and took the initiative to attack Emo Qingyun. Shen Shi grabbed the void with both hands and a lightning hammer and a lightning awl appeared in his hands. They flashed with lightning arcs. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that the weapons in Shen Shi's hands weren't simple. Lightning Spirit, Heavenly Lightning Awl. Shen Shi leaped up and struck the lightning awl with his lightning hammer, blasting out bolts of lightning. These thunderbolts were like ghosts, constantly flashing, making it impossible for people to catch their traces. What a powerful lightning attack! Seeing Shen Shi make a move, Emo Qingyun's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise, but he quickly regained his composure. If it were anyone else, they might be wary of such a lightning attack. However, Emo Qingyun was different. His Thunderfire Mad Dragon Saint body was extremely immune to Thunderfire attacks. Junior Apprentice Brother Emo, I advise you to obediently admit defeat, lest you suffer under my lightning. Shen Shi stood in midair, holding the Thunder Awl and Thunder Hammer as he crazily attacked. At the same time, he was persuading Emo Qingyun. Unfortunately, Emo Qingyun didn't care about his persuasion. He smiled and said, If it were any other attack I might be wary. However, since you are using the power of lightning, you can't blame me for bullying you. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished his words, he activated the Thunderfire Mad Dragon Saint body to counteract the power of lightning. Nebula Sacred Cloth. Thunderfire Mad Dragon Saint body. While activating the Saint body, Mo Qingyun also took out the nebula sacred cloth to counterattack Shen Shi. Following that, Mo Qingyun took the lightning attack head-on and used the counterattack to force Shen Shi to retreat. Boom boom boom, bolts of violent lightning struck Mo Qingyun's body and engulfed him directly. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the surrounding onlookers all tensed up. Shen Shi is indeed one of the top 10 disciples. His strength is too strong. He can cripple Mo Qingyun with just one attack. Although Mo Qingyun's talent is outstanding, his foundation is too shallow. He can't compete with Shen Shi. The result of this battle is out. Everyone sighed inwardly. Sect Master, should we make a move? What if Shen Shi injures Mo Qingyun? Seeing Shen Shi's actions, Great Elder Shen Liang looked worried and asked Babilai for his opinion. Before Shen Liang could finish speaking, Babilai raised his hand and interrupted him. Don't worry. With my understanding of Mo Qingyun, he won't be so simple. He must have a reason for doing this. Let's just watch patiently. As soon as Babilai finished speaking, Shen Shi spat out a mouthful of blood and looked shocked. He didn't expect that when he attacked Mo Qingyun with all his strength, he would be the one to be injured. Seeing Shen Shi's performance, everyone was puzzled. They were dumbfounded by this scene. While everyone was shocked and puzzled, Mo Qingyun dispersed the lightning and appeared in front of everyone. Although Mo Qingyun looked a little disheveled, he wasn't injured. Mo Qingyun's performance made everyone even more puzzled. The attacker was injured, but the one being beaten was fine. This was too unreasonable. I know why Shen Shi was injured. Mo Qingyun's nebula saint cloth has the ability to reflect damage. So that's why Mo Qingyun resisted the lightning bolts. Not only that, Mo Qingyun's physique is strong. It's not something ordinary people can compare to. Also, his Thunder Fire Mad Dragon Saint body is extremely immune to lightning damage. Shen Shi is really unlucky. He's clearly met his nemesis. After analyzing the reason, everyone immediately sympathized with Shen Shi. Encountering an opponent like Mo Qingyun, he could only suffer in silence, unable to voice out his bitterness. So that's how it is. This kid is a bit of a bully. Seeing through Mo Qingyun's situation, Babilai couldn't help but laugh. He said to Shen Liang beside him, Grand Elder Shen Liang, Shen Shi can't blame himself for losing. Qin Yun's various abilities just happened to restrain him. Sigh. Shen Liang sighed. He knew that from the moment just now the outcome of the two had already been decided. After taking Shen Shi's attack head-on, Mo Qingyun looked indifferent. He looked at Shen Shi in the air and said, Senior Brother Shen, do you still want to continue? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Shen Shi's expression changed. He felt extremely depressed. If he admitted defeat now, it would mean that he would be defeated before Mo Qingyun even made a move. This was too sullen. It would be the biggest stain in his life. However, if he continued to fight, he would be completely restrained. This really put him in a difficult position. It's not that easy to make me admit defeat with just this. Shen Shi thought for a while and decided to continue the battle. His expression darkened and said, Although my saint power is restrained, in terms of laws, I far surpass you. With this, I can still easily defeat you. Then please. Seeing that Shen Shi didn't give up, Mo Qingyun didn't say much and made a gesture of invitation. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Shen Shi put away his lightning hammer and lightning all. He took out a black spear. Lightning flashed on the spear. Its aura was restrained. It was obviously a powerful weapon. As expected of the junior of a quasi-sector lord, his foundation is indeed strong. It's not something I can compare to. Seeing the weapon in Shen Shi's hand, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh. He raised his hand and took out 9 Bull Divine Sword. Shen Shi chose to fight head-on. He couldn't take it head-on. He had to contend with him. Chapter 28-19. Thunder crash. Dragon break. As soon as the long spear was in his hand, Shunji poured in a burst of saint power, and it emitted a dazzling light. Shunji's figure moved like a coiling dragon emerging from the sea and flew toward Mo Qingyun. Immediately, a silver shadow formed behind Shunji, like a silver dragon. As Shunji swung his spear, he activated the law of space to increase his combat power. Space imprisonment, space compression, space penetration. With the support of 3 law of space, the power of Shunji's spear was instantly raised to the extreme. In the blink of an eye, Shunji was in front of Mo Qingyun and stabbed his spear toward Mo Qingyun's chest. Sky-piercing. Facing Shunji's attack, Mo Qingyun did not dare to be careless and decisively slashed forward with his sword. With a slash of his sword, the space that trapped Mo Qingyun was forcefully broken open. After breaking open the space, Mo Qingyun's body flashed and appeared in midair. Immediately, he dodged Shunji's spear attack. "You can't dodge it!" Seeing that his spear had missed, Shunji's attack did not slow down. He turned his spear and chased after Mo Qingyun. Facing Shunji's attack, Mo Qingyun did not retreat anymore and slashed at Shunji with his sword. Time like light. Ignore defense. Space imprisonment. Space penetration. A sword light flashed and disappeared from everyone's sight and directly appeared in front of Shunji. Looking at the sudden sword light, Shunji jumped in fright and hurriedly dodged. However, he used all his strength and was still hit by the sword light on his right arm, leaving a hideous wound. As Shunji was injured, his attack on Mo Qingyun was also interrupted. "Shunji is injured. I didn't expect him to lose even faster in a head-on confrontation. Facing Mo Qingyun's sword, the best way is to risk your life like Quan Wenzhong. So what if you risk your life? In the end, you still lose even more miserably." After some discussion, everyone was even more afraid of Mo Qingyun. Because they realized that Mo Qingyun's sword was too strong, and there was no way to break it. Unless their cultivation was far stronger than Mo Qingyun's, and they were able to crush Mo Qingyun to the point that he couldn't resist at all. I didn't expect Mo Qingyun's strength to have reached such a level. Sect Master's eyes are indeed sharp. Seeing Mo Qingyun's expression, Xin Liang couldn't help but sigh, feeling pity for Shunji. Before he saw Mo Qingyun make a move, he was a little displeased that Shunji had been replaced. Now that he had seen Mo Qingyun's strength, all his dissatisfaction disappeared. With Mo Qingyun's strength, he could definitely rank in the top 5 among the top 10 disciples. In this way, Mo Qingyun was absolutely qualified to represent Xin Shi in the Starfield battle for glory. After knowing Mo Qingyun's strength, Xin Liang shouted to Shunji, "Zhir, you've lost. Step down." "No, I haven't lost yet." Shunji didn't listen to Xin Liang's words, and he roared unwillingly. Then, he waved his long spear and attacked Mo Qingyun. Thunderstorm destruction tornado. The long spear pierced forward, and Shunji's body spun, stirring up a terrifying storm. Under the stirring of the storm, the space shattered, and spatial cracks appeared. Seeing this, the surrounding disciples were shocked and retreated out of the heavenly demon arena. Ba Bailai and the others were tense, and they quickly stabilized the space to prevent the disciples from being hurt. "Looks like you won't give up until I show you some power." Seeing that Shunji was unwilling to give up, Mo Qingyun was a little displeased, and the aura he exuded became sharper. Then, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and waved, and a door of light appeared in front of him. As soon as the door of light appeared, it emitted a wave of spatial power, which entered Mo Qingyun's body. "It's the law of space imprisonment. Looks like you deserve to be taught a lesson." Sensing the law of space door, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold, and he immediately slapped Shunji with his palm. Under Mo Qingyun's palm, a mysterious and domineering law of space enveloped Shunji. Then, Shunji's body crashed into a layer of spatial barrier, and the impact made him dizzy. What a domineering law of space imprisonment! It actually forcefully sealed Shinji. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Ba Bailey's expression trembled, and his face was filled with intense shock. It wasn't just Babilai who was shocked. The elders beside him were also shocked. After a while, Shin Liang came back to his senses and asked Ba Bailai, Sect Master, can the power of your law of space imprisonment reach Emo Qingyun's level? No, it can't. Ba Bailai shook his head with a solemn expression. He said, Qin Yun's comprehension of the law of space imprisonment has already reached a qualitative level. Even if I'm trapped by this law, I won't be able to break free in a short time. Hearing Ba Bailey's words, the surrounding elders all sucked in a breath of cold air. Ba Bailai was a quasi-sector lord. With his strength, he couldn't break free from Emo Qingyun's law of space imprisonment. If this were to spread, it would be enough to scare many people. I didn't expect him to hide so deeply. We've all underestimated him. Knowing the power of Emo Qingyun's law of space imprisonment, Shin Liang couldn't help but sigh and fly towards Shinji. Soon, Shin Liang arrived beside Shinji and cupped his hands towards Emo Qingyun. He said, Emo Qingyun, Shinji has already lost. Let him out. And, seeing Shin Liang plead for mercy, Emo Qingyun nodded and agreed. With a thought, Emo Qingyun removed the law of space imprisonment, and Shinji broke free. As soon as Shinji broke free, he revealed a look of unwillingness and wanted to continue attacking Emo Qingyun. Stop! Seeing Shinji's actions, Shin Liang raised his hand and pulled him back. He said, Don't be rude. If Emo Qingyun didn't show mercy, he could have killed you 10 times over. After Shin Liang finished speaking, he nodded towards Emo Qingyun and brought Shinji to the side. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people felt as if they had woken up from a dream. They felt that it was so unreal. Did I hear wrongly? According to Supreme Elder Shin Liang, Emo Qingyun hasn't used his full strength. This is a little scary. What is the limit of his true strength? I'm afraid only he knows. Don't provoke him in the future. Everyone's gaze towards Emo Qingyun changed again. After Shinji was taken away, Emo Qingyun didn't leave the heavenly devil god platform. He looked at the other disciples and said, Senior brothers, let me confirm with you again. Is there anyone else who doubts my strength? Under Emo Qingyun's gaze, the people who doubted his strength all lowered their heads. In the exchange earlier, they could already tell that they were no match for Emo Qingyun. After a while, seeing that no one came out to answer, Babilai stood up and said, In that case, the last spot for the Star Field battle will be obtained by Emo Qingyun. After confirming Emo Qingyun's qualifications, Babilai looked at Shin Liang and said, Supreme Elder Shin Liang, I'll have to trouble you to bring them to Gufan Blessed Land. Alright. Hearing Babeli's instructions, Shin Liang nodded. Chapter 28-20. When they arrived outside the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate, Shin Liang and the others exchanged a glance and formed a strange hand seal. When they finished forming the hand seal, they pointed at the void. Under the power of the strange hand seal, a crack appeared in the void, revealing a desolate small world. This small world is similar to the Fortune mainland, but it's not perfect. When Emo Qingyun saw the desolate small world in the crack, a trace of shock flashed through his eyes. He silently compared the two in his heart. In this small world, there was nothing but desolation. There were no signs of life. If one really had to describe it, it would be more appropriate to call it an abandoned mainland. While Emo Qingyun was pondering, a huge flying ship flew out from the small world. This flying ship is bigger and more advanced than my time battleship. It's definitely faster. Looking at the huge flying ship in front of him, Emo Qingyun was shocked. He compared it to the time battleship. While everyone was sizing up the flying ship, Shin Liang leaped onto the flying ship and said, Everyone, get on. The sect is very far from the Supreme Harmony Devil Gate. We have to take the flowing light flying ship to rush over in time. Hearing Xinliang's words, everyone no longer hesitated. They flew onto the flying ship. When everyone was on the flying ship, Xinliang and the others exchanged a glance and controlled the flying ship to speed up. Junior brother Mo, there's still some time before we reach Gufan Blessed Land. Let's catch up. As the flying ship started moving, Song Yu came to Mo Qingyun's side and greeted Mo Qingyun. Hearing Song Yu's words, Mo Qingyun nodded and left with him. Although he wasn't familiar with Song Yu, they were still fellow disciples. He couldn't be too distant. Then, Mo Qingyun and Song Yu walked into the cabin of the flying ship. After entering the cabin, Song Yu led Mo Qingyun towards the two people. Mo Qingyun had some impression of these two people. They were Zhang Zhenfei and Shen Hongmei. Arriving in front of the two, Song Yu pointed at them and introduced them to Mo Qingyun. Junior apprentice brother Mo, this is eldest senior apprentice brother Zhang Zhenfei, and this is eldest senior apprentice sister Shen Hongmei. They are both direct disciples of Master. Greetings, eldest senior brother and eldest senior sister. After learning of their identities, Mo Qingyun humbly cupped his hands. We're brothers, so there's no need to be so courteous. Please take a seat. In response to Mo Qingyun's salute, Zhang Zhenfei and Shen Hongmei quickly waved their hands and did not put on any airs. The two's actions made Mo Qingyun's impression of them improve significantly. Senior brother, senior sister, there's no need to introduce junior brother Mo. After introducing the two to Mo Qingyun, Song Yu smiled faintly and teased Zhang Zhenfei and Shen Hongmei. Upon hearing Song Yu's words, Zhang Zhenfei shook his head helplessly and said, Junior brother Song, you really know how to joke. Junior brother Mo is in the Supreme Harmony Demon sect. Who doesn't know him? Mo Qingyun did not mind the teasing of the two as he casually sat down at the side. When Mo Qingyun's group of 4 sat together, the other 6 people also sat together in 2s and 3s. In just an instant, the factions and factions of the top 10 disciples were completely reflected. In general, Mo Qingyun's group of 4 was the strongest. Junior brother Mo, this is your first time participating in the Star Field Battle for Brilliance. Let me tell you the details. When she saw Mo Qingyun sit down, Shen Hongmei returned to the main topic and stopped laughing. Upon hearing Shen Hongmei's words, Zhang Zhenfei and Shen Hongmei stopped teasing and their expressions turned serious. Please speak, senior sister. Mo Qingyun nodded and hinted at Shen Hongmei. At Mo Qingyun's signal, Shen Hongmei began to speak tirelessly. Under normal circumstances, the sects that can participate in the Star Field Battle for Brilliance are all 3-star and above. Only a very small number of quasi-3-star forces are qualified to participate. Those who can represent their sects are all geniuses among geniuses. Therefore, even if they are quasi-3-star sects geniuses, we cannot underestimate them in the slightest. Mo Qingyun nodded in agreement with Shen Hongmei's words. Mo Qingyun thought about it and asked curiously, Eldest senior sister, are there no 4-star forces among the forces participating in the Star Field Battle for Brilliance? Shen Hongmei and the other two seemed to have expected Mo Qingyun's doubts. Song Yu beat him to it and said, There is only one 4-star force in the Great Western Sky realm where we are. It is the Spirit Mountain of the Journey to the West Plain. That is the sacred cultivation ground of Buddha. The journey to the West Plain? Hearing Shen Hongmei's words, Mo Qingyun frowned and a trace of surprise flashed across his eyes. The 6-eared macaque that he had subdued seemed to have come from the journey to the West Plain. It seemed that there were many secrets that were waiting for him to slowly uncover. Mo Qingyun thought about it and became curious about the journey to the West Plain. He asked, Senior brother Song, can you tell me a little about the journey to the West Plain? Junior brother Mo, it's not that I don't want to tell you, but we don't know much about the journey to the West Plain. Song Yu had an apologetic look on his face as he shook his head at Mo Qingyun, showing a helpless expression. Seeing Song Yu's reaction, Emo Qingyun did not ask any more questions. He wanted to go there himself if he had the chance. Alright, let's continue talking about the star field battle for brilliance. Seeing that Emo Qingyun had digressed from the topic, Shen Hongmei waved her hand and changed the topic again. There are two main tests in the star field battle for brilliance. They are sailing against the current and falling behind if you don't advance. Sailing against the current? Falling behind if you don't advance? Hearing Shen Hongmei's words, Emo Qingyun became curious and asked, sailing against the current and falling behind if you don't advance. What are the main tests? The first test is to enter the starry river of light and control the boat of time to go against the current. Shen Hongmei did not hide anything and began to explain the contents of the test in detail. She said patiently, the starry river of light has two parts. One is the upstream area and the other is the calm water area. As long as you enter the calm water area, you will pass the first test. Emo Qingyun nodded. He had a clear understanding of the test of sailing against the current. Seeing that Emo Qingyun understood, Shen Hongmei did not stop talking. She continued, when you pass the first test, the taboo in the calm water area will be opened. The originally calm starry river of light will become violent and set off terrifying waves. At this time, many shallow islands will appear in the starry river of light. Only by landing on these islands can you avoid the waves. Emo Qingyun nodded in understanding. However, at this moment, Shen Hongmei changed the topic. However, the number of islands is limited. Only by occupying an island can you obtain points for the test. This makes the competition cruel. The most important thing is that the position of the islands is moving. If you do not occupy an island in front of you, you will flow from the calm water area to the upstream area and be eliminated from the test. The islands will flow out of the calm water area? Hearing Shen Hongmei's explanation, Emo Qingyun was stunned. He was shocked by this situation. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.